All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 8:47 a.m., Friday, December 20th. We are back on another episode of the Market Open, and we've got a little bit of volatility as we enter into one of the final trading days of December. So I woke up this morning about 2 hours ago, and I didn't expect the type of volatility we saw in the pre. Well, actually, that's a lie because I was up at 1 a.m. And that if you were up at 1 a.m. last night, Eastern Standard, you saw a little bit of volatility. I mean, you could see Bitcoin trending in the direction. You could see not pre-market action, but overnight action, and you could tell it was getting a little messy. And I woke up at around 6 a.m. today, and I was like, well, it's here. We got a little bit of the volatility. So we got volatility. A lot of that volatility is coming from one main thing that's happening today that we will discuss, which is quad witching, and we'll go into why that's happening. But also a lot of that volatility, I believe, is coming from a further continuation of the downside we saw yesterday. Yesterday, we actually failed to protect a lot of key levels across indices and individual stocks that had breached their 3:45 p.m. intraday low levels that they saw on the day Jay Powell spoke. And that kind of created a free-for-all for a lot of different equities. So we've got a red pre-market, and we've got a little bit of a bounce right now in the pre-market. Thankfully, we got some really good news like 18 minutes ago that came out at 8:30. Here's the news right here. We're going to start off with this piece of news, and then we're going to get into what's happening today. 9:30 is going to be very interesting today. We have not had this type of volatility in a long time, but it's here. On top of that, we've got a government shutdown that's potentially looming. House Republicans, 35 of them voted against the bill that was introduced yesterday, the new revised bill that was substantially lower than the bill that was introduced 3 days ago. Still, that got rejected. So you got those type of fears. You have some more tariff fears. You have Novo Nordisk that had one of their drugs not really do the best in some FDA trials. That one's down 15%. And you've also got quad witching, which we'll talk about in a bit. First of all, here's what we got going on. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Good morning. Good morning. We're getting right into it today. PCE, the Fed's preferred inflation metric. This matters more than CPI. This matters more than PPI. It came in cold. It came in cold. We really needed this one, folks. We are trying to end out 2024 with like some of the gains that we had in the beginning of the year, right? And I know the market's still doing very well. We're basically close to all-time highs, but we needed this one. If this one came in hot, there would be a good chance that we would legit get the Grinch for Christmas. We still might get the Grinch for Christmas, but I think even if we don't get Santa, we might not get the Grinch, right? It might be kind of neutral. This coming in hot would have guaranteed the Grinch. It came in cold. So PCE on the monthly was 0.1% versus 0.2. Core PCE was 0.1 versus 0.2, again on the monthly. On the yearly, it was 2.4 versus 2.5. That's great. Core PCE on the yearly was 2.8 versus 2.9. That's great. So you needed these numbers, and as soon as we got these numbers that came out, as soon as we got core PCE metrics, we actually had a little bit of a market bounce. So let's take a look at some of these stocks in the pre-market. Palantir was at 71. Now it's at 73.18. SoFi was at 1402. Now it's at 1488. If we look at something like Bitcoin, which was at 92, now it's at 95. So, I mean, a little bit of a bounce. MicroStrategy, which is getting destroyed in the pre-markets, that was at $300.10. That's back at $323. Robinhood, that was at 34.11. Now that's at 35.85. 35.84. S&P was at 577. Now it's at 581. So that bounce that you're seeing in the pre-markets that happened basically at 8:30 is primarily on the idea that inflation is not as bad. Remember, one of the reasons we're selling off, we talked about it in depth on the FOMC presser day, was the expectation of that 10-year that was continuing to go higher because the expectations of inflation was continuing to go higher as well. And the 10-year kind of controls a lot of the ways market participants think of risk. Why would you buy equities if you can get 4.5 on a 10-year? And so with Jay Powell saying we're not going to cut as much as we thought we were going to cut in 2025, that makes equities a little bit more unattractive compared to that 10-year, and that could cause a sell-off, along with some of the algorithmic stuff that we talked about as well. But that has been the premise for why we saw weakness in the markets. We needed PCE to let the markets know, no, it's okay. Like, inflation is accelerating, but it's not dramatically accelerating. In fact, it's actually down if you look at the preferred metric that the Fed looks at, which is PCE. And so that was good. That was good. But I don't know if I believe that bounce. So that's my first question for you guys today. We got a bounce 5 minutes ago. Does anyone believe it? Does anyone believe that the nasty volatility we saw before 8:30 is going to trend in the upwards direction towards the rest of the day, or at least not trend to the downwards direction, simply because inflation came in better than expected. I wouldn't blame anyone who believes that. I just don't know if I believe that yet. Because, man, if you were up at from 4 to 6 a.m. this morning, it was bad, dude. Like, I remember waking up and I was like, oh, that's like really down. That's not down. It's like, this is bad. This is like down. So I still think today could be a pretty volatile day. Those trillions on the sidelines are getting in today. 2 dips. They've had to have bought one of them. Well, you're actually somewhat correct about this, Lewis, because we've got this, and then we'll talk about quad witching and go deeper into what's happening there. Money market funds, for those that missed this on the market close yesterday, have decreased by 19.6 billion. So we got our first decrease of substantial value. And a lot of that money tends to go into other assets that are producing a return because they were already in money market funds producing a return. And those other 2 asset classes are crypto and stocks. So it's not, there's still 6.7 trillion on the sidelines, but we did see 20 billion come out over the past week. And maybe a lot of that money came out on Wednesday when Jay Powell officially lowered rates. But this is a dip that either money is going to buy because they're finally been waiting for this, or they're a little scared to buy because now the dip might keep dipping and, they might try to time it and get it even lower. But this is an opportunity, I think most people would agree, if you have zero exposure to markets, to like start DCA. And so, we're going to have to see if money starts to come in today or if it stays on the sidelines. Okay, most of you are saying it's kind of 50-50. I think a decent amount of you are saying, yeah, we think this PCE number is going to be good enough for us to keep going further. Some of you guys are saying, no, the volatility is still going to be a little tough. I agree. The volatility will still be tough. Look, we needed this number. We got a good number. I mean, you couldn't really get a better number. It came in on every metric. There's 4 of them. The monthly PCE and core PCE and the yearly PCE and core PCE. So those are 4 different numbers. All of them came in lower than expected. And so, I mean, we got what we needed from that data. Now it's just a question of, do people step in and actually buy as volatility continues to go higher? Where's the VIX right now? The VIX should be up. Yeah, you got the VIX up right here. It was down yesterday. It was the single biggest, or it was one of the 5th largest intraday moves on Wednesday when it was up 74%. And then it came down, I think, 30% yesterday. So today we're going to have to see kind of how that reacts and how the market and the 10-year follows it as well. Where is the 10-year right now? Let's take a look at the 10-year. 10-year is actually down on that CPI news. It was I think 4.57. Now it's at 4.502. So that, they're not CPI, PCE news. That PCE news was definitely very important to get some of this inflation stuff under control as well. Okay, let's talk about the other 2 things that are affecting markets right now. First of all, let's talk about quad witching. So again, quad witching, we talked about it yesterday, but the simple sort of explanation of it is it's a lot of options that are expiring all at once. You've got simultaneous expiration around index future options, single stock options, and then index futures themselves. And when all of that stuff is expiring on one day, which happens 4 times a year, one of those days is the last Friday or one of the last trading Fridays of December. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of volatility from market makers, hedge funds, etc. How much money is expiring? There's an estimate of $6.5 trillion that are expiring today in the 3 things I mentioned: index options, index futures, and then single stock options as well. So a lot of money's expiring, and you got a lot of games happening with the Citadels and the Jane Streets of the world that make a lot of money on all of this volatility. And, this happens 4 times a year. They kind of know what they're doing at this point. And that could create dip buying opportunities. That could create amazing moves in stocks to the upside. It could just make things very volatile. On top of that, if you look at the put and call ratio on the S&P 500, there are 3 million puts open, 3.4 million puts open on the S&P 500. There's 1.5 million open on the call for open interest, which means we have 5 million individual options on the S&P 500 open. This is just S&P 500. This doesn't take into account all the other options on different indices and stocks, etc. And you have double the amount of puts versus the amount of calls open, which means more traders are, betting that things are going to go down versus go up, and that creates volatility. That creates a ton of volatility right here. So quite frankly, I mean, for anyone who's kind of like scared from the, so when I woke up, all right, here's another question for you guys. Were you scared when you woke up? Because when I woke up, it wasn't fear, and I can honestly say that I woke up and I was like, all right, we're down. It was one of those things like, all right, it's down aggressively, but it's down. August 5th, there was like legit fear. I was like, I'm about to lose my shit, bro. August 5th was like, oh shit's about it. Because we didn't know Japan carry yet. Yeah. This was more so like, all right, really? All right, I guess you want to be a little moody here and give us another 2% down, right? It wasn't necessarily fear or anything like that. And part of the reason was because I think all of us knew today was going to be volatile based on quad witching. That's a real thing. It's happening. It has happened every year, 4 times a year for the past 50 years. And now it's just happening in a market that is obviously overextended. Tesla at almost 500. Yeah, that's overextended for just getting all of that momentum there. Not saying Tesla doesn't deserve it, but getting it in like 2 weeks, you'll probably see a little bit of a pullback there. So I don't think this is that scary. It's more so a question of just like how, where's the bottom, right? How bad does it get? Does Tesla go back to 350? I don't think so. Does Tesla stay at like maybe 415? Yeah, I think that's reasonable, right? Maybe 420, 430. So I think that's the question now. The market's trying to figure out how bad do things get versus, oh my God, let me sell everything because I'm so scared about what's going on in the markets right now. Yeah, everyone's saying they're not scared. Martin said no, but it sucked. It definitely sucked. It definitely sucked. I mean, I remember waking up and I was like, this is like a little aggressive, bro. Like, can we just get to Christmas? Like, why are we being so annoying today? But it wasn't like fear. It wasn't like, oh my God, I got to protect my money, get out of it. It was just like, okay, this is annoying, but I guess this is what's happening right now. We got to deal with it. For real, says Amit, I think it's possible there's a lot of front running of tax selling early in January 2025. Is there a valuable lesson for all of us here to never prioritize tax considerations over profits? Okay, so this is a good question. First of all, yes, I think a lot of people are waiting to sell in January because of saving on taxes. However, if your stocks are going down, there are definitely people that are like, okay, I was up $10,000 yesterday. Now I'm up $8,000. I'm afraid that my 8,000 goes to 5,000. So I'm going to sell right now and take those profits. And that is what I would call a panic sell, but it's also a rational panic sell. So yeah, that's a fair thing to do. However, I don't think the volatility that's happening right now is a justification to sell everything just to, keep some of your gains and not prioritize on your taxes. That's an individual decision, right? It's always based on your financial sort of preferences, your needs, all that type of stuff. I think the broader thing right here from your question, right, in terms of what is the lesson learned, I think the lesson is not about taxes. The lesson is not about taking profits. The lesson is about markets can get overextended. And we were trading at a basically 24 times trailing 12 months PE on the S&P 500 going into what Jay Powell had to say. I mean, Tesla hit all-time highs right before Jay Powell talked. That's the real lesson here. And if the byproduct of that lesson is take some profits, hedge a little bit, all that, yeah, sure. But that's an individual thing you have to make. I just think it can't be that much of a surprise. And when the markets fell 3%, when Jay Powell was talking, I think all of us weren't surprised. We were like, yeah, it sucks, but we were hitting all-time highs everywhere, right? Like things probably needed a breather. It's just now things are taking a little bit of an extended breather. They're breathing really heavy right here, like they need to put their inhaler in or something. And I think the lesson to learn from that is that you just got to be able to withstand the volatility. Do I think this means we're getting a 10-15% correction going into the end of the year? I don't think so. I could be wrong. And then if we actually do get it, then yeah, taking profits was probably the lesson out of this. But I don't think we get that low. Nothing fundamental has changed other than Jay Powell's 2 cuts over 3 cuts. And if that's the only thing that has changed, I mean, I just don't know if that's enough to get out of the markets. And I think that's the important thing to understand here as well. Dark pool buying is insanely high. That is correct. I saw some stats on that this morning as well. Sachin, what's up? Good morning. Thanks for being here. Gene says, so are we not getting a Santa Claus rally? Well, look, after Christmas, we'll really know if we're getting a Santa Claus rally. And today's going to be an important day to see. Remember, today, I'm going to keep saying it, but if it is quad witching today, then today is where the hedge funds and all these guys are going to play their games, get all these options to expire, in the money, out of the money, whatever they really want it to be like. And then next week, we don't really have any other big kind of economic news to go forward from. And we'll kind of see how that plays from there. And so next week, I think we'll get a much better understanding of if we're going to get Santa Claus coming to town. Okay, on top of that, so quad witching is one of the reasons why the market's down, but another reason why the market's down is the government shutdown. So let's talk a little bit about that. Yesterday, the government proposed a new and refined version of the bill. That is what Elon was campaigning about, and a lot of people outside of just, hey, we need to get like something passed that's like more legit because we're spending money on a lot of crazy stuff. And Republicans came back with a much better version of whatever that would look like, and that still got rejected. So that is another reason why markets are getting hit right now. Now, in general, do government shutdowns create a lot of market volatility? Not really. It's annoying for the markets because there's uncertainty, and historically in the past, markets haven't liked the government shutdown because, like, if the government's not spending money, you've got a big part of the economy that's just like not functioning. People aren't getting paid. People might not have enough money to spend, all that stuff. So that's bad. I think 2013, 2014 was one of the largest shutdowns we had in the past 10 years. But that's definitely something that could be volatile. And if that definitely is something that's volatile, that's not the best thing in the world. when you've got equities trading at all-time highs. So the U.S. is facing a government shutdown after Republican President elect Donald Trump rejected a bipartisan deal on Wednesday. Trump pressured his fellow Republicans in Congress to reject a stopgap bill to keep the government funded past the deadline of midnight on Friday. U.S. government will begin a partial shutdown on Saturday that would disrupt everything from air travel to law enforcement. A 2-week shutdown would impact GDP. That is correct. A 2-week shutdown would impact GDP. And again, and they had a new version of this government spending bill last night. 35 Republicans in the House of Representatives rejected it. So, these are people of Trump's party that just were not fans of it. And this is why a lot of people are questioning, all right, how are you going to get Doge to actually do anything if you don't have all the Republicans that need to be on Trump's side actually being on Trump's side? And I think that's kind of the core issues that we're seeing right now. Let's get a little bit of coverage on this as well, and then we'll keep going from there. This is another reason why markets are struggling for today. Here we go.
Here, because initially this was a bipartisan deal that really had a lot of baked in that would kind of escape the funding shutdown on Friday at midnight, or today at midnight over in the United States. What has changed now is this kind of last minute desire to basically address the debt ceiling issue, which basically falls under his purview once he's inaugurated. He's trying to have that come under the Biden administration. And if that means tying it to the federal shutdown bill, he's willing to do that. What his initial plan was, that was put forward by Mike Johnson as the revised bill, was to extend the debt ceiling to 2027. All that means is it just means that it's easier to accrue more debt, to widen the deficit, because you're not hitting that limit because the limit has now moved. You're basically following a moving target. Now he's talking about not only extending it to 2029 in the face, by the way, of this vote that failed in Congress. So we are still barreling towards a federal government shutdown and a debt ceiling issue in January as well. Now he's suggesting eliminating the debt ceiling altogether and extending it to 2029. Here's the problem with that, though. And the reason that the debt ceiling has been such a contentious issue in the United States is because, one, conservatives, the majority of conservatives, have actually pushed back against raising the debt ceiling. They actually want to bring it back in line and not have the same problems that you're seeing in France, for example, where increasing the debt ceiling and living beyond your means is a major negative. They don't want to be the party associated with that. The other piece is that back in 1917, this is a little bit of a history lesson, but this is the reason it matters. Congress had to get approval to the Treasury every time they wanted to do something, issue war bonds, create subsidies, add pandemic aid, disaster relief. That all had to go through congressional approval rather than the Treasury just being able to issue that debt or get that fundraising. That's why the debt ceiling baked into it can help you go around it and make that process a lot easier. So removing the debt ceiling could help these conversations on things like federal shutdowns every couple of months, but it also makes things harder to get that aid and get that funding to the rest of the country when needed.
Now, we can still avoid this, folks. We have until midnight today to avoid this. And hopefully we have enough trust in our political system to find a way to avoid this. I don't know if we will, but if we can avoid this, this would be good. If we can't avoid this, then yeah, next week's going to be difficult, dude. 2024 was on to a good end, and then this is the rough part about being an equity investor. Like this, you just can't ever go to sleep at night and just think you're going to be okay. This is why when people say, I just want to be able to sleep well at night with my stocks, it's like, because every other day when you wake up, you got some headline going on and you got a lot of money invested in this magical thing called the stock market, which at least is not as intangible as Bitcoin or the crypto market. And you're just hoping that it doesn't affect everything. Right. And so this is one of those things that's going to keep people up at night today, if we can avoid it or not. And if we can't, we're going to have to figure out how that goes further from there. Here is one of the senators from Oklahoma talking about the bill and what they need to get in order for this to actually be passed right now.
With the latest in the government funding fight is Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin. And Senator, thank you very much for being with us today. I think we're trying to figure out what's happening in Washington. Hopefully you have a better idea than we do from here. There's some market turmoil this morning, not all of this because of what's happening in Washington. A lot of it's the Federal Reserve and what we had seen. But the threat of a budget, a government shutdown really is roiling people. And what can you tell us about what you know is happening at this point?
Well, Becky, trying to figure out where Congress is going all the time is difficult. One thing you can guarantee is we will always wait till the last minute to get anything done. I think we're probably going to avoid a government shutdown, mainly because we're pushed up against Christmas here. There's a chance today a clean CR, a short-term clean CR. It may be for 2-3 weeks. That'll get pushed out from one of the chambers. That's probably the closest path forward. That was something that was discussed late last night, even some discussions this morning. I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but that's really the option that's on the table. Other than that, there's a couple other options. There's an option that was proposed that I was working on weeks ago with President Trump and with some Senate Democrat colleagues, taking the 10 appropriation bills that are left now that we're not Homeland hasn't been reported out of committee. NDA has been passed. We got the other 10 appropriation bills that was passed out of committee by unanimous support and has been reported to the floor since July, and Schumer has literally refused to move them. We could take all that language that has all the riders, all the extensions, and add disaster on top of it. That the language is already written. It was bipartisan. Put it on the floor. Add debt limit, 2-year extension on it, and pass it, and that would clean the deck for the outgoing Biden administration and set up Trump to be able to just work on the FY26 when he gets in office. I think that's a great plan, but Schumer scrapped that last week and said no deal.
Yeah, it's just so confusing what has happened. We thought that you all had a bipartisan deal that was going to get worked out. It turned out that Elon Musk didn't want that to happen because of the issues they're trying to do with government efficiency and really stopping spending. And then there were 38 Republicans in the House who voted against what President Trump had supported yesterday. I think.
And that was the tough part, because his own party, 38 of them said no to it. And that's why people are really trying to figure out, all right, like, what do we do to get this deal passed?
We're all just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And I understand that you were talking with President-elect Trump last week about a plan, but that plan doesn't sound like it would now pass muster because the Democrats, you're going to have trouble getting support from Democrats at this point, too. And I don't know if the Republicans in the House, even if can find a way that they'll have something that all Republicans would vote for.
Well, Becky, I disagree that Trump disengaged last week. He's been engaged literally since he won the election.
I didn't say he disengaged. I didn't say he disengaged. He may have been negotiating with you on this. The plan that he supported yesterday did not get passed by his own party.
I agree with that. But President Trump had negotiated with the White House, had been negotiating with us. I'd been negotiating with my colleagues on the Senate side. We had a deal worked out, and it was something that was agreeable. Schumer's the one that backed out to begin with it. So to say that Elon weighed in on it just surprised everybody. That's not accurate. Everybody was upset.
Okay, so you have a different plan that was working its way through the Senate versus the one that was working its way through the House. Okay,
it had worked its way, and then then some changes had to be made because Schumer pulled away from it. The deal that Speaker Johnson was trying to work out was a very difficult deal because our number one goal is to raise the debt limit now. How about we do something inventive? How about Congress be proactive rather than reactive? We know this fight on this debt limit is going to take place. What can happen if we wait, and you know this will happen. You'll see it on your show. Come March, if we haven't really had negotiations about raising the debt limit, and they start doing the special levers that they pull to keep the government open, what's going to happen is the stock market is going to get volatile again. You can see our currency start talking about taking a devaluing, and then you're going to start seeing a possibility of us defaulting, and that would be horrible. That's not what we want to do.
It was Chip Roy, who's a Republican in the House, and others, 37 others, who voted against that raising the debt limit.
Well, we could go back, Becky, to the original deal we had. But the reason why it was pulled is because Schumer wants to use that as and no, I'm not trying to be ugly here, but basically as a weapon to hold to the president's head next year to negotiate, because that's his negotiating tool.
That either party has used when it's not in the White House.
But we don't have to do that right now.
It's not a huge thing that I'm a fan of and never have been, because it's a silly way of saying we're not going to pay the bills that we've already agreed to the spending on.
I don't disagree with that, Becky, at all, but it shouldn't be used to hold the economy hostage. And that is what Schumer is trying to do, is hold the economy hostage. Why wouldn't we just agree with this? It's what's best. Not to mention President Trump. The reason why he wants this so bad is because President Trump ran on the fact that he wants to get the economy started again. We're in this situation once again is because the Biden administration spent too much. They had a lagging economy, and the GDP wasn't able to keep up their spending. So,
all right, well, that's what senators do. They find an argument to blame the other side or make some analysis. I don't care. I just want them to get a deal passed. I don't care what his logic is for why they did or they didn't get it passed. But look, I think we'll avoid it. I think most senators will come to their senses and figure out some type of compromise here later today. And we should be all right. I think we should be all right. And look, if they don't come to that conclusion, we're going to have more volatility. Does that mean Tesla doesn't deserve to be at these levels? No, I think that just means we're going to see some more volatility, and it's going to affect everything. I don't think they want to do this before Christmas. Like, there would have to be some serious disagreement, like real hardcore 2013, 2014 type of disagreement for them to shut down going to Christmas break. Again, people are traveling. You got TSA people. You got people in law enforcement. Like, if the government shuts down, people don't get paid. Like, the government employees, a lot of people. Like, people need to get paid. People have the holidays coming up. I mean, if our politicians cannot agree on a spending bill to make sure regular families have paychecks coming in over the break so that they can have a happy holidays, that would be sad for America. I mean, that would be very sad for the United States of America. I mean, forget the stock market, right? Like, it would suck for the stock market, but for regular people that, are trying to get their kids some extra Christmas presents, and they could actually, they need some paychecks to get those extra presents. Like, that would really suck if the government shut down and those people didn't get paid. So Cindy says, why getting paid? They're all getting fired soon. Oh my God, dude. We're going to have to see how effective Doge can be, bro. We're going to have to really see how effective Doge can be, because Doge, in theory, again, I'm a proponent of it. It sounds awesome, but like, you got to get the Republican Party that got a clean sweep to actually agree on all the stuff Doge is consulting the government to agree on. And they can't even agree on a spending bill right now. They can't even agree on a spending bill right now. So I think it's important. I think it's very, very, very important. Not one of those people are living paycheck to paycheck. No, like Congress people that are making a couple $100,000 a year, they're not living paycheck to paycheck. But there are plenty of people in the government that are living paycheck to paycheck because they're not Nancy Pelosi, right? So there are definitely people in the United States that work in the government that, they're not getting paid the best, but they're not getting paid the worst. But they have bills. They have a family of 4. You got to be able to survive. So like, it would just be sad before the holidays, dude. And that happened in 2013. 2013. This was the second year of Obama's term that I remember I used to watch the news. I would watch Good Morning America, and I remember the government was shut down. I think it ended January 15th. So it took the first 2 weeks of January to end. It was like a 40-day shutdown. And it was bad. It was the first time I ever realized that like politicians actually don't get stuff done. So yeah, I think we'll avoid it. I don't think they're going to mess up this year by not letting this happen. I think it'll be all right. But we're going to see. Novo Nordisk, let's talk about that. Let's get into some other stocks. So again, to put a summary to this, the reason why the market's volatile today is because you got quad witching, $6.5 trillion of options are going to be expiring. And then number 2, you've also got this government shutdown threat. And the government shutdown threat, along with this quad witching, when you put that together, along with the fact that Jay Powell said what he said on Wednesday, that is the perfect recipe for volatility. The one thing that is stopping that volatility from being horrible, it's bad right now, it's not horrible, is because the PCE data came in better than expected. For those that are just joining, we beat on the monthly and the yearly. That was really good. So now at 9:30, we're going to see kind of how the market reacts. Now, Novo Nordisk did not have the best pre-markets. They are down 20%. Folks, this is a $450 billion company. This is a $450 billion company. 6.5 trillion. That is correct. 6.5 trillion of options. That is a fact. We have a lot of options. This happens 4 times a year. This is the end of the year. A lot of people bought options early in their year, ending or expiring on Friday, December 20th. This is the day where a lot of those options expire. So Novo Nordisk right here, down 20%. Apparently their drug to lose weight is not as effective as the market thought it would be. And that is why the market is upset right here. And you're getting a little bit of a problem. So Novo Nordisk said patients on Kregisima, I think that's what it's called, lost 22% of weight in trial. The market wanted them to lose 25% of their weight versus 22%. Now you might think that 3% doesn't matter, but with a drug like this, based on the time frame that these patients have on the study, that 3% is actually a big deal. And so these drugs not being as effective as what the market thought they would be effective for. I mean, I sometimes forget how big of a company Novo Nordisk is. It's almost 500 billion. A 20% decline is definitely a rather large decline right here. So this is the actual headline on what we've got going on right now. But does anyone own this name or own the Lilies of the world or anything like that? By the way, is Hims struggling because of this? Hims was already down yesterday. Hims is actually up right now. Hims was down so much yesterday that Hims is not facing further volatility, but Hims is kind of flat right here. So this one's not taking it down too much further. Novo Nordisk, Europe's largest company, is under pressure, falling 25% after Carriga Sema phase 3 results showed 22.7 weight loss versus the street's 25% expectation. Meanwhile, competitors Eli Lilly and Viking Therapeutics are rallying on the news. After 68 weeks, patients on CagriSema achieved a 22.7 weight percent reduction compared to 16.1%, which is better. Notably, 40.4% of patients achieved greater than 25% weight loss, significantly outperforming other groups. The drug demonstrated a safe and well-tolerated profile with different effects being mild to moderate. But it wasn't enough for the street to get excited. CCL is going up. Did they have earnings today for the cruise lines? Did they have earnings today? CCL... That's up 4%. Okay, what did Carnival Cruise announce today? They don't have earnings today. They had to announce something. Let's see. What did Carnival Cruise announce today? But that's the reason why Novo Nordisk is down. Carnival supports... Oh, they did have earnings today. They really? They had earnings today? I did not know they had earnings today. Oh, they did. Yeah, Friday, December 20th. I didn't know this company had earnings. Here you go. Carnival earnings. This is what we got. Carnival earnings. Chris, why didn't you tell us yesterday they had earnings? Like, no one knew these guys had earnings. Like, I didn't know they had earnings. Full year revenues hit an all-time high of $25 billion. That's up 15%. Again, just seeing that headline, for all the recession people, it's not easy for people to go on a cruise line if they're in a recession, right? People have the money to spend on this stuff. Full year net income, $1.9 billion. Adjusted EBITDA, $6.1 billion. That's up 40%. That is big. Record full year operating income of $3.6 billion. That's up 80%. Fourth quarter revenues of $5.9 billion, 10% higher than last year. Record adjusted EBITDA. CEO says this has been an incredible strong finish to a record year. Revenues hit an all-time high driven by strong demand environment that we elevated throughout the year, enabling us to outperform our initial 2024 guidance of $700 million and nearly $2 billion more to the bottom line. The progress was broad-based, and we drove strong pricing in 2024 as we compared to 2023 across our major cruise lines and trades. All right, there you go. Bookings are at an all-time high. Yeah, and even if you're not in this name, what's important to understand about this is that if people are booking cruises at an all-time high, I think it should offer some perspective on the volatility we're seeing. We are not seeing a stock market decline to the tune of 3 to 5% or maybe 10 to 15% in individual names because of a recession. That is not happening. Anyone who says that is full of shit. And they're trying to fearmonger and they're trying to scare you. That's not happening. That's just not happening. We are seeing it because of a potential government shutdown, a legitimate quad witching day that has a lot of funky stuff happening in the market, and expectations on interest rates and inflation that just weren't as good as, like, we wanted 3 cuts, we're getting 2 cuts. And that's why the market's upset. But we're still getting cuts, right? Those 3 reasons are why things are tanking, quote unquote tanking. But it's not because people are losing their jobs and they don't have money and every company is underperforming and earnings growth is horrible and guidance is horrible. Therefore, sell off your stocks. And that's why you had Tom Lee yesterday say, hey, this is a back up the truck and buy the dip. This is a back up the truck and buy the dip. And the reason for why he said that was essentially because there's not been anything fundamental. And if someone has anything fundamental, please put it in the chat. I would love to see something that justifies this outside of all the idiosyncratic things that are currently happening right now. This is what Tom Lee said as well yesterday. He added this one stat that I think was really important about the VIX. He said the VIX spiked 75% yesterday. Its 5th largest single day surge in history. Historically, similar spikes led to the S&P 500 recoveries within a week or a month on the other 4 times that the VIX spiked as much as it did 2 days ago. This suggests potential capitulation and a buying opportunity as forward VIX futures remain steady, indicating investors sought protection and the market may rebound from selling off after J-Pound, the Federal Reserve, cut expectations in 2025. Tom Lee says buy the dip. He thinks this is a screaming buy the dip. If you have a ton of money right now, I don't know if you deploy all of it, but maybe you deploy a certain percentage of it that you're comfortable with in certain names that you've been waiting to get into. But all of this volatility has nothing to do with a recession. And if we see the data that would highlight that, I would change my mind. But when Carnival Cruise, a cruise line, a luxury, is putting up all-time highs and records, they're booked out for the next year, 20% earnings growth, which means they're becoming incredibly efficient as an actual company for the bottom line, which is great for Carnival shareholders. Like, you can't say that's based on a recession. You just can't. CCL is up 4% right here. RCL, Royal Caribbean, is up 2%. And Norwegian is up 2.48% as well. There you go. Boomers got cash and they ain't afraid to spend it. Yeah. And if they took some profits in the markets, you might want to celebrate by going on a cruise, or just like, you know, you have some people leaving the cold and going on a cruise, going to Mexico, the Bahamas over the winter break. Like, you have a lot of reasons why people might want to engage in that. But the fact that they have the money to do that, I think is important. And by the way, a cruise is like the average. Let's look at this. How many people are on a cruise ship? On average, we have, on some of the largest ones, we have 7,000 people on a cruise ship. Okay. So 7,000, these are like, you know, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you don't have all 7,000 people that are super rich, right? These are families. These are people that save up money. These are people that are, you know, have savings accounts and they want little family vacations. Like, these are not just the 7,000 rich people that come out of nowhere. These are regular people that have jobs that save up, but they have some extra disposable income and they save up to do stuff like this, which means I think the average American is included in this, that is taking up this opportunity to go on a cruise. And that's why it's hard to see necessarily a massive recession happening from here right now. Carnival's not the luxury one. Check Royal Caribbean. Yeah, Carnival might not be the luxury cruise, but I'm just saying the concept of a cruise to me is luxurious, right? For a family of four to say we're going to go on a cruise, I mean, you got to be spending at least what, 5,000 to 10,000 for a family of four. I would imagine at least $5,000, right? That's significant money that you got to have ready and saved up to put into something like this. So that is a really welcoming sign for Carnival Cruise, up 4.5% right here. Robinhood is recovering. Robinhood 36.05. It was at almost 33 in the pre-markets. That's not bad. Palantir's being a champ, holding 70. Palantir's being a freaking champ, holding 70. 72.90. That one's up right now. Not too bad. Where's Tesla? Even Tesla, dude, 427. That's not horrible. Tesla was at 410 this morning. So that's not horrible as well. TMDX, this one got hit last week. This one is slightly up or slightly down 0.21%. So the Novo Nordisk news is not affecting it too much. CleanSpark's down 1%. MSTR was at $300 at 4 a.m. It's at 320 right now. MSTR is still down, but not down as much. Where is Fartcoin? Yes, let's check that. Dude, if Fartcoin is still up after the pre-market we had, I don't know what to say. Again, this is why I don't believe in any of this shit that's happening in the market. I don't believe in any of this shit happening in the market because Fartcoin is at all-time highs. Like, how can you believe what we're seeing in this stock market is real in terms of, oh, we got all this 5%, 6% down, 7% down, and then Fartcoin's up 7%? Like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. $1.23 billion market cap, 999 million Fartcoins. It's not like this is a low float meme coin. And it's up 7%. This thing was 91 cents on Wednesday. It's $1.24. You're telling me that people are selling off Tesla and they're buying Fartcoin? There's no way. What this leads me to believe is there is being a controlled attempt on the market by a lot of different parties, interests, market makers, etc., that are doing some wonky things as we get into the end of the year, probably trying to shake some weak hands out. Like, they're not getting my Robinhood shares as much as they try, because I know at $34, that's a stupid valuation for Robinhood given their growth. And I know that, right? And when you know that, and NVIDIA at 127 is a stupid valuation for its growth. So when you know that they're not going to be able to take your shares, but they definitely want to take your shares for whatever reasons, quad witching, all that stuff. And then you got this government shutdown stuff. But it can't be something structural, because if it was structural in the global financial markets, Fartcoin would not be up right now. Like, there's just no way they could be up. At least that's my perspective on comparing one risk asset class to the broader markets and how that one is outperforming right here. Fartcoin is the safe haven, dude. Forget the Max 7. Forget Google. Fartcoin is the safe haven right here. Let's hear from Gabriella Santos. We got 5 minutes until the market opens. JP Morgan, let's get her thoughts on some of the volatility that we're seeing right now.
This morning. It's been a very interesting week. A lot of things happening since the Fed meeting, and the market's really getting roiled a bit. We look at the futures down pretty significantly this morning. I know it's a triple witching day, but how much of this is what Jay Powell had to say at the Fed meeting the other day? How much of this is what's happening in Washington and the uncertainty there? How much of this is triple witching? And has the overall view of the market actually changed this past week?
Becky, I think it's a combination of all of those three things. The first, on the Fed itself, high for longer, was not unexpected. But the reason why the shift in the economic forecast brought back inflation and signaled to investors that it's high for longer, but perhaps for the wrong reason.
Higher for longer for the wrong reason. And by the way, you may not be getting any more cuts. That was the message I got.
And the market pricing and probabilities, thinking of, well, maybe I need to reduce my expectations of cuts, or maybe even at some point next year, we could bring back the conversation about hikes. And to us, that was not really justified. We had actually been expecting a higher upgrade to economic forecast that barely budged for next year, only moved up 10 basis points. We think it's much more about the economic resilience versus the inflation forecast, which moved up 30 basis points for next year and 20 basis points the year after, which to us doesn't seem justified by the data, seems more, as Chair Powell acknowledged, a conversation about tariffs, which brings us to the second big reason, which is really the policy fog on the other part of DC. I think the market had priced in a lot of the good stuff from the next administration, and now has swung the pendulum to the other side about focusing on some of the less favorable aspects from an equity perspective. And it just kind of keeps swinging back and forth until we get to a good understanding of the details. And then lastly, frankly, I think it's just, the end of the year, we had such a strong rally in the market.
Right, people may be selling.
It's just a little bit of fatigue. And especially, right, from mid-September up until the beginning of December, we had perhaps a little bit too much of an increase in certain.
And she's right about that. I mean, we rallied aggressively since Trump got elected, which is also another reason why we could be seeing a sell-off, people just taking some profits right here. And which also makes it feel kind of normal to see the S&P at 580, 585. But does it mean there's a structural issue that is going to cause a further collapse? I don't see that right now.
Deep, cyclical, small cap parts of the market that perhaps became a little overdone.
So has your view of the market changed this week?
Frankly, no. We called our 2025 outlook out of the cyclical storm and into the policy fog. Out of the cyclical storm, an acknowledgement that really overlying the economy is pretty good. It's just kind of normalizing its growth rate and its patterns. But especially in the first half of the year, we're coming into a policy fog in DC, and where we need to kind of round out our decimal points here in terms of growth, inflation, and rates expectations. Overall, we're still feeling bullish about equities, about corporate credit. It's just that I think the market in the very short term tends to think about absolutes, and there's a lot more nuance and uncertainty.
So what are you talking?
All right, we got 30 seconds, folks. Here we go. Friday. Thank you, everybody, for being here. In the next 30 seconds, we are going to see how the equity markets perform. I think let's do all eyes on Tesla to start things out. All eyes on Tesla. We are getting a little bit of red right into these final 30 seconds. This is going to be an important day. Quad witching. Trillions of dollars of options are expiring. For those that don't know what that means there's just going to be a lot of volatility going on. And in 5 seconds, we're going to see how the market ultimately interprets that. All right, here we go. Friday, December 20th, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Let's get into it. 426 on Tesla. Down 2%. That's down. Not crazy. It is down. It is down 2%, but it is down. So you got Tesla down 2%. You got Robinhood right here. Nasty 7% decline. 34.30 on Robinhood. So you got that pre-market selling off right here. 7.3% on Robinhood. Palantir holding 70 like a champ still. 71.80 down 3.22%. Not bad at all. $71 on Palantir. SoFi 14.76. It was almost at 13 in the pre-market, so that one's holding up as well. You got a little bit of a green candle right there. Carnival Cruises up 4%. Royal Caribbean's up 2%. Norwegian is up 4.4%. So the cruises are doing good off that Carnival earnings. We got Marathon down about 1.4%. You got Coinbase down 3.54%. You have the VIX that's up about 5% right here. Archer is flat. 2x leverage Bitcoin. BitX that's down 2%. Shopify's down 1%. ASML's down 1%. Netflix is down 1.2%. GameStop's down 1.7%. Enphase is up. Interesting. SolarEdge is up. Enphase and SolarEdge United Healthcare are up, and Broadcom is up. So you got a little bit of pockets of green, even though things are red. Tesla down 2.7, 424 on Tesla. Not horrible. MicroStrategy, again, dude, there's a green candle right there. It was at 300. Now it's at 324 again. That's not horrible either. HIMS is down 2%. That is kind of bad from yesterday. HIMS was down 8%, so that one continues to get sold off. Novo Nordisk down 20%. They were at a $450 billion valuation in about 1 minute, they went from 450 to 360. So they lost a decent chunk of their valuation just off that drug trial news. Again, this is the risk of investing in these pharmaceutical names, but they are down 20% currently right now. Robinhood, nice recovery. Was down 7%. Now it's down 4.5. I shouldn't say recovery, but nice little bounce that we're getting right there on the hood. Palantir, even Palantir, 72. It was at 71.17. Now it's at 72. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. AMD, look at that green candle. AMD trying to make its way back to 119. SoFi, there's a green candle right there. Where's the S&P? Let's take a look at them. 581, it's down, but it's not down as bad as, again, in the pre-markets, we were at 577. The Qs, I think, are down a little bit more. Qs are down about 1%. That's okay. It was at 505, now it's at 509. Small caps are holding up. You would think small caps get hit on a day like this. They're down, but they're not down as much as tech, as much as the NASDAQ. That's not too bad. Someone says they bought some more Hood at 34.05. I like that buy. I like Hood at 35.50 as well. I mean, I was buying at 40, 38, 37. When you look at Robinhood's growth, these valuations get pretty cheap the further it goes down. And I'm saying that not because it's just, it's a good company, but they're November metrics, right? That the data we got from those metrics is showing us what Q4 is going to look like. So that is why, and then again, that is not a reason why this should be selling off, but quad witching might be a reason. And that creates a opportunity potentially in a variety of names that we're looking at. SoFi as well. I don't think SoFi should be below 15. Not after an insider just bought 30,000 shares at 16.35. like the insider's only buying his money that, most of these guys are paid in stock. They're only buying it because they think it'll go above 16.35. So these are not structural things. These are idiosyncratic elements of the market towards the end of the year. As Gabriella Santos said, we were a little bit overextended and we're taking a breather. But I don't think it's anything necessarily structural. Rocket Lab right here, down about 2%. Bitcoin 95. It was at 92. And this, when I woke up, it was at 92. And that's when I was like, oh, Bitcoin, is really struggling today. So PCE got it above that 95 level, which is not too bad currently right now. AMD is being like a champ. Yes, AMD is acting like a champ right here. Wow, AMD is green. AMD is green. Where is NVIDIA? NVIDIA, it was at 126 in the pre-markets. It's at 128 right now. Let's check all the Max 7. All the Max 7s. Yeah, guys, this isn't that crazy, dude. NVIDIA's down 1%. Amazon's down 1%. Google's down 1%. Meta's down 0.5%. Microsoft's down 1.5%. Apple is down 1%. Tesla's actually getting the brunt of it, down 3.2%. But again, Tesla went up more than all of the other 6 names in the past 2 weeks. So it makes sense. But down 1% on tech, even down 2% on tech, is not crazy. Like, that is not July where we were down 20% on Meta, Google, Amazon, NVIDIA, like all of them down 20%. Like that's not what we're seeing right here. And we got to see if market participants come in and potentially buy a little bit of that dip. Oh yeah, Nike. We didn't even talk about Nike. Nike's earnings were good. They beat on the top and the bottom line. Bill Ackman was up like $150 million on his 60 million shares for about an hour. And then the earnings call happened. And then Nike fell. Nike right here down about 1.75%, basically flat from yesterday. On the earnings call, I believe they talked about getting rid of discount promotions on the website. And they also talked about just warning investors about certain headwinds they're facing for guidance for next quarter. And I didn't read through the transcript, but when you put those two together, you can definitely get a little bit of a sell-off. So it was up 10%. Now right here, down about 2.5%, but still a beat on the top and the bottom line, which wasn't the worst thing for Nike. FedEx had a great earnings, and they're separating the company. FedEx right here is up 4%. They're separating FedEx to regular FedEx and FedEx Freight. Both of those will be independent public companies, and the street's happy because FedEx Freight, if we take it away from FedEx, should improve the underlying operating net incomes of FedEx, the business itself. It should increase EPS. And so that's why they were up about 10% on their earnings. But they missed slightly on revenue. They beat on EPS, which was great for FedEx. All right, who's buying the dip? Who's buying the dip? Put in the chat, who's buying the dip? And let me tell you who is buying the dip, who has a little bit more money than you and I. Although some of you guys are whales in the chat, and I don't know exactly how much you guys have. But maybe you are challenging this guy for the amount of money that he has. Mr. Warren Buffett. He bought 8.9 million shares of Oxy yesterday, 5 million shares of SiriusXM, and 234,000 shares of Verisign. He spent about 600 million, or about 545 million. This was all in the past week that he bought. So Mr. Buffett, who has not 5 billion in cash, 325 billion in cash, he's deploying a little bit of that cash. It's a very small amount of cash, but he is deploying it. Most of you guys are saying buying. Doug says I bought Hood, Tesla, and Palantir. Buying the dip. Chris said he's buying the dip. GE, I'm buying Hood. AMD, Hood, Amazon. Chris is buying Google. Joe bought the dip. Matthew bought some dip. Gil bought some dip. All right, so you guys are definitely buying the dip. Well, Buffett's with you. Buffett is with you. I think everyone was waiting for Buffett to buy. Oh, MicroStrategy just went green. MSTR just went green. Not bad. AMD just went green. Nvidia's trying to get green. Tesla is recovering. It was at 420. Now it's at 425. And S&P is not too far away from green. It was down almost 1%. Now it's down 0.34%. You got an argument right here on Oxy for why Buffett sees some value. Look at Oxy. Oxy's up 2% on this Buffett buy. Oxy has been trading horribly this year. I think it's down almost 15, 20%. Buffett already owns, I think, like, I don't know exactly, but it's a decent amount of the company. I think like 25, 30% of the Oxy. So that's a candidate potentially to get bought out by Berkshire. Then SiriusXM, dude, I don't know why he's buying this one. I don't think anyone can. Everyone who thinks they have a theory doesn't actually know why he's buying. SiriusXM right here up 5.6%. I think it's an arbitrage acquisition play. Some people say he's buying it for the infrastructure around the satellites that they have. Other people are saying that he loves listening to Howard Stern. That's a joke. That's not true. But I don't know. I don't know why he's buying SiriusXM. AMD right here, that's up. IWM, small caps go green, baby. Small caps go green. Where's Palantir? Are we green on Palantir? Palantir is just away from green. It's about 1% away from green. Bank of America's green. Bitcoin trying to get to 96. Uber's slightly red. Amazon's down about 1.5. Apple's down 1.19. Gold is up right now. TLT is up. That's nice. TLT getting a little bit of green. Marathon is slightly trying to go green. Coinbase is still down. They were down 3%. Now they're down 1%. Robinhood is 1% away from going green. 36.45. That's not bad. Not bad at all. KMI and Next are green. Kinder Morgan, yeah, some of these energy and infrastructure plays, they are green as well, which is not bad. KMI is green. Next Decade is green. ET is green. Yeah, you're seeing the market, or you're seeing parts of the market step in and say we're buying. That's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing parts of the market step in and say we're buying. Now the next headline we need is that the government's not shutting down. We get that headline and we might have a little bit more fun towards the end of the day. Archer is green. Like, see, Archer shouldn't be green today. If everything is screwed and everything's going to hell and the market's like, Archer is a speculative name. It should not be green. Any of these speculative names should not be green. Marathon should not be about to be breaking even. MicroStrategy should not be green if there is a structural problem inside of the economy, which is affecting the stock market, causing risk assets to sell off. That's just not happening. And I mean, it is happening to an extent in terms of volatility, but it's getting eaten up because prices are getting cheap enough for people to step in that have cash because they understand the risk reward is skewed to the upside at that point. BB is up 14%. Yeah, I mean, see, even things like with BlackBerry going up 14% right here. You're getting people stepping in and buying this dip. Grab, where's Grab? Grab was at 470 in the pre-markets. Grab's at 488. All right, so that's a nice little recovery from 478. Still down on the day, but that is a little bit of a recovery. SoFi just went green. There you go. SoFi, well, it's like 3 cents away from green, but it's at 15. It's at 15, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Cute. Look at the S&P, bro. The S&P is 12.12% away from going green. I mean, talk about a dip, bro. If you were up in the pre-markets and you bought some at 577, you played this right, especially if you're trading it. It's at 584. Does the Christmas rally start now? I think we're still going to have to wait. I don't know if we're at the doghouse yet. Also, we're only 10 minutes into the market today. I mean, yesterday we saw the same thing, and then by like 2 p.m., everything started tanking. So we definitely have a lot. I mean, this could be a little bit of the market makers kind of getting you excited right now, and then in a couple hours, they're going to pull the rug because of all the options expiring. So I don't think we're out of the blue or out of the woods yet, but it is encouraging to see that people are stepping in. Carnival right here up 3.5% currently right now. Palantir is going to be included into the NASDAQ on Monday, guys, not today. So all the buying should be happening on Monday, not today. December 23rd is when it happens. So I don't think we're going to see that as a catalyst. Maybe we see some front running of people buying today, but the 23rd, that's going to be what determines it. Robinhood 1.3% away from going green. We are not out of the blue woods yesterday. Yesterday, I said something on Twitter. I was like, I said, we're not out of the woodworks yet. And someone's like, Amit, you mean we're not out of the woods? You know, you use woodworks for like a different phrase. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I am so bad at phrasing this or using these phrases, bro. It just comes to my head, and I'm like, all right, let's go with this. I think this sounds good. I think this makes sense. I think this makes some sense. Out of the blue woods into the hay and the needle stack. Exactly. Oh boy. Adobe's green. Rigidity Computing is green. United Health. Wow, United Health back to almost 500. That one was at like 470 yesterday. That's not bad. Verizon's green right here. Tesla is it's 2% away from going green. It was down almost 6%, or it was down 7%. Cruise Line's holding on. Micron, I don't know what's going on with Micron. I thought they got hit enough on earnings day. They were down 18%. No one's buying this dip on Micron. Like literally no one. And maybe that's the time to buy the dip. I'm not buying the dip on Micron, but no one is buying this dip on Micron. I mean, for it to go down 2% again today is just aggressive, bro. That is aggressive. And I know everything's down, but still, like even HIMS took a little bit of a breather because it was down 9% yesterday. Micron was down 18%. Still getting hit right now. Let's look at the other semis. AMD's green, SMCI's green, Intel's green, ON Semiconductor's green, ASML's down, Broadcom's green, even though Broadcom took a hit yesterday, but that was up like 40% over the past 2 days. TSM's green, or TSM slightly red, Marvell red, ARM's red, Lam Research red, Dell is green. Yeah, I mean, all the red is like barely 1%, to be honest. NVIDIA just a little bit away from going green. So not too bad. Not too bad on some of the semi names as well. Affirm got upgraded by a bunch of firms yesterday. Affirm's green. They were almost at like 80 the other day though, so they're down from the JPOW stuff. But 63.57, not bad for Affirm. They're up about 1% right here. So if I just went under 15, got a little bit of a rejection at 1507. Robinhood also got rejected at 36.76. They're at 36.32. But they're holding 36, which is nice. They're not going into that 33s, at least not yet, from what we're seeing from what the continuation of the downside pattern we saw in pre-markets. Tesla as well, 424 is holding, got rejected at 430. CleanSpark, this one's just been a mess, but this one's down 1%. Even Grindr's holding up, bro. Grindr's only down 0.5%. It's not too bad. Rocket Lab right here, down about 1% as well. Enovix is up. Yeah, see, Enovix, another one of those more speculative plays. That one's up 9%. I guess they announced something for that one to be up 9%. But that one is not too bad. What to expect from Powell today? Powell's not talking today, right? I don't think Powell's talking. Let me know if I'm wrong. I don't think Powell's saying anything today. If he is, can someone just make sure he doesn't like say anything, because he did enough talking. All right. He did enough talking. Netflix secured exclusive rights to FIFA Women's World Cup for 2027 and 2031. Is that affecting Netflix? Dude, the only thing I care about on Netflix is Squid Game. Oh, season 5 is coming out 2025. That is the second best show that Netflix has came out with other than Squid Game. So I think that one will do well for them. $8.97 on Netflix. That one's recovering as well. It's still down on the day, but it was closer to $8.88 in the pre-markets. So they're getting more into live sports, which is great for Netflix. That's good for them. And that's not bad. Are you buying Palantir at these levels? I'm not buying Palantir at these levels, but I will say, I mean, next year, as crazy as it is, if it keeps holding 70, I'm going to be a buyer at 70, dude. I mean, like, I really don't think the valuation is incredible at 70. It is extended, and there's a lot of reasons for why it's extended, but there's another way to justify the valuation here. But the strength Palantir is showing is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. So if I will happily buy in the 70s if I feel that the market is ready to accept it in the 70s, and it's only been really 2 weeks. I think it's a little early to think that the market's like normalized at 70. But think about this, dude. On one of the worst weeks since September, Palantir did not go below $70.05, which is kind of wild, right? Like, that's kind of insane for all the people, even some of the FinTwit bears. I was looking last night on Twitter. They were like, hey, even we got to admit, the cult is diamond handing this thing, dude. The cult is not selling. And I know a lot of people saw their gains kind of go down from, I think, 82.70 to like we got to $70. So that's what, $12 of gains on a lot of shares that went down. But still, people were probably, no, I'm going to keep my shares. I'm keeping them. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, you guys think Rocket Lab is streaming? I will have their stream up as well. Or, I mean, is Rocket Lab streaming? I don't even know. When they actually get to the like launch, then I want to stream that, but I don't want to stream like just them talking. Oh, it's all right. So when they get to the launch, we'll actually see what they're streaming right there. and then we'll see what it's looking like. 10 p.m. East. Oh, 10 Eastern. Okay, so we have 15 minutes. Okay, so someone help me understand this. When Rocket Lab launches, like, is there like people talking for 20 minutes and then there's a launch, or at 10 a.m. are we getting a launch? Can someone, because I've never seen a Rocket Lab launch before, and I actually want to see it. I've never seen a Rocket Lab launch. Oh, wait, scrubbed? There's no launch? There's no launch anymore? Is Rocket Lab down? It was scrubbed. Rocket Lab slightly down. They canceled it. Was it because of weather? Did they cancel it because of weather? That sucks. All right. Well, next time it happens, let me know. And I want to watch it. I've only seen SpaceX. I've never seen Rocket Lab. So I would love to actually see them do it. Why was it? Rocket Lab's actually almost about to go green. Why was it scrubbed? Was it weather? Yeah, it was weather. Okay. It was weather. All right. Next time we'll watch it. Anyway, back to Palantir. Dude, it is pretty damn exciting. It is really exciting. Just as someone who wants to see these levels normalized, and everyone who owns Palantir should be pretty damn happy, dude, that this thing, the most quote unquote overexpensive bubble, yada, yada, everything they're saying, it is not giving up 70. Like it's just not, it's like, no, we like being at the 70 range. We like it. We're staying here. I mean, not even getting to 68, 69. It is just absolutely incredible, that strength. By the way, Palantir 2024 recap tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern, ugly Christmas sweater edition. We're going to have a nice weekly episode, 11 p.m. tonight. We'll be recapping everything in Palantir's 2024. Code Strap will be joining. It'll be fun. But the price action has just been incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that probably means that big money is buying. I think that probably means that big money is buying in. Okay, what else do we have going on? What are some other headlines? Robinhood right here, 1.33%. Affirm is green. Enovix is up. Grab slightly going up, 490. Where is Tesla? Tesla's still holding on. No, Tesla's not holding on. Tesla's getting rejected. Tesla's actually going red. Tesla now down 4%, 418. I guess 423 was not able to hold those levels, so Tesla got hit. Tesla got rejected. Oh, here's an interesting stat for you guys on Bitcoin. Let's talk a little bit about crypto. Yesterday was not a good day. Yesterday was not a good day for crypto. Why? Because we had the first negative outflows on ETFs in over 2 weeks. $671 million were sold from the Bitcoin ETFs yesterday. $671.9 million. BlackRock bought $0 of Bitcoin, and all the other ETFs sold a bunch of Bitcoin. So this was the first day since November 27th, which from the 27th to December 18th averaged about $300 million of daily inflows every day from the Bitcoin ETFs. 671 million is the first red day, which is double the amount of inflows they were averaging per day on December 19th. So that is also why Bitcoin took a hit yesterday, because, I mean, when you really take a look at it, if the ETFs are not buying, you can't have Saylor continue to buy all the time. And so that's why Bitcoin got hit. But still, Bitcoin holding 95, even with that $500 million of sell side orders we got yesterday. 95.4, not too bad on Bitcoin. Oklo is at 20.05. That's up, that's down 4.3%. Again, Dan Ives initiated coverage on that one yesterday. He has a $26 price target. On the show, he basically said he thinks they're going to be one of the biggest energy players for AI. They are down 4.48% right now. The quantum names, let's take a look at that. Most of them are green. Rigidity's up 2%. IONQ is up 2%. QBTS is up 0.35. And then quantum computing QUBT is up 3%. Google right here down about 1.23% currently right now. So you got some of the quantum names that are pumping a little bit right here. Some of the other ones are going down. Again, I have no position in the quantum names. I've done zero research on the quantum names. I'm kind of not that interested in getting into these names right now. I know other people are interested. That's fine, but we'll keep track of them. I just don't really have a position in any of those names. MicroStrategy 327, that's down 1/3%. All the crypto bros are going down. Marathon, Riot, Hut, Iren, Cypher, CleanSpark, Coinbase. MSTR is actually going green. So people are stepping in to buy this one. Bitfarms is down. BitX is down. So all the crypto guys are down. MSTR is actually holding people up right now. Amit, do a poll in the day if it will end green. Yeah, that's actually a good poll idea. Let's do that. Do you think the day ended green? You know, yesterday we saw this as well, and then we ended in kind of nasty red yesterday. So we still have a lot of blue woods to get out of to see if this happens. Do we green today? Yes or no? Here was the data for those that are just joining. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We got some macro data this morning on PCE inflation. This was really good. This is another reason why the markets are actually not going further to the downside like we saw in the pre-markets. PCE on the monthly and the yearly both beat. lower than expectations, which was really good. But we still have $6.5 trillion of options that are expiring in the next 5 hours, and that could create some more volatility. That's what we got. That's what we got right now on macro data. MSTR is a dog. Well, MSTR got hit badly yesterday. Got hit worse than every other crypto name. So MSTR actually is holding up, or MSTR is rebounding pretty nicely from getting hit. I was on a Twitter Spaces last night with this guy. It's the show we do called Tech Talk. I do it with a bunch of other every Thursday. And some guy came up and he started pitching MicroStrategy. And one of the things he kept saying was like, well, they have a unique business model. And the one the panel was questioning him on is like, why? And like, well, they can use convertible notes. And it's like, that's not that unique. First of all, any company can do convertible notes. Like an operating competent company can probably find some level of liquidity in convertible notes. Number two, Marathon and Riot are doing what MicroStrategy is doing. Now, MSTR is doing it at a different scale, but a unique business model means you're highly differentiated. And if other companies are doing that, that's not highly differentiated, right? So, although I still think MSTR will do well, because in general, Bitcoin will do well, and even if the net asset value premium will make no sense, I just think it'll go up with Bitcoin. I think people will buy it if Bitcoin goes up, even if they could get a cheaper exposure to Bitcoin in other places. It is still one of those things where now if MSTR falls from 500 to 300, you're going to get a lot of people, a lot of skeptical people coming out saying, wait a second, why is he levered up so hard? Right? Every time Bitcoin goes down, the question on MSTR is going to be, how did he get so levered? And why is he so levered? And then you're going to get a lot more skeptics coming in. And so if you believe in MSTR, you've got to be able to withstand all those skeptics and believe in this long-term thesis around Bitcoin, which is obviously what Saylor believes in. But that is, some of the problems with this stock right now. And that's what's down from the lows. Mike, switch mic. The mic got broken. Oh, sorry. We're going to switch. See, this is it. We're good. If not, we know exactly what to do because it's Monday. We're fixed. Let me know if this one's good. This one's good. I think this one's better. Yes, much better. All right. It's not the mic, guys. This is freaking StreamYard because the mic was working yesterday perfectly and the day before perfectly. This is StreamYard, bro. This is still choppy. All right, we're going to switch right now. We know exactly what to do because we went through this last time. We're not even going to waste any time trying to figure out what to do. We are going to immediately switch, and we are going to be able to resolve this. Microphone's working good? Good for sure? Yes? I won't switch if we don't need to. It's working? Okay. Never mind. This one's good. All right, cool. Nobody panic. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. I went through this fire drill yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm ready to deal with this shit. I'm not going to let this mess up my stream. Not today, bro. Not today. I don't like having a bad stream, bro. I don't like when there's technical difficulty. I get really annoyed when that happens because I love you guys. I want to make sure this is a good stream. So, all right, we're good. Dude, I was ready. I did not care. I was ready. All right, let's see some other headlines. MicroStrategy right here, 331. Where is Palantir? Palantir is still holding up right here at 73. Remember, we got that $400 million contract on Palantir, which was very, very important from the Army Vantage deal. So that was awesome. MicroStrategy right here, 332. Let me pull up a couple of other headlines that I was looking at last night. Oh, Japan. This was actually not the best news for Japan. And this is why they were thinking of hiking. Japan's inflation went to 2.7% versus 2.3%. Japan's inflation 2.7%. So that was not the best thing for Japan. Now, granted, Japan did us a solid because I think someone from BlackRock called up Japan and they said, hey, just don't hike rates. They didn't. It was good. But they are probably going to be thinking of hiking later as well. And so that is another thing we have to remember when it comes to Japan and what's going to happen with Japan. So that's okay. Now you're saying mic is bad. All right, we're doing the switch. Too many people are saying the mic is bad. We're going to do the switch. Here we go. We're going to do the switch right here. Boom, baby. Here we go. We should be good. This should be fine. Let me know if this is good. Shouldn't have issues here. Be good. Yes? All right. It's better than normal. There we go. We got the switch. We're getting data in 3 minutes. Let me see the data we're getting. Some people are saying there's nothing wrong with the mic, but enough of you are saying there is. So might as well just switch because this one I know is not going to be bad. This one I know should not be bad. Okay, what data are we getting? Hold on. Let's see. What data are we getting in the next 3 minutes? Let's see. Let's go to our calendar right here and see what we've got going on. 10 a.m. consumer confidence or Michigan consumer sentiment. Oh, this is actually a big one. Michigan consumer sentiment. All right. Michigan consumer sentiment is going to be important. The bricks are not fake. The bricks are real. There's just a cutoff between the bricks and that area because I didn't get to install the bricks in the other area. That's just, don't worry about it. The bricks are real. Don't, it's like Santa Claus, you just sometimes you got to believe even if you don't see it. So, all right. So Michigan consumer sentiment, this is going to be important. We got 3 minutes. Let's get that on the board. Actually, let's pull up CNBC as well. I think they'll be covering it. This is important because if consumer sentiment is good going into the holidays and going into Q4, that means most people probably actually bought things for the holidays, which is great for companies' earnings. But that is one of those things that is definitely going to matter as we get into the end of the year. New Tesla tweet. Let me pull up Tesla. Let's see what Tesla has. Markets are still okay. MicroStrategy's up. IWM is up. S&P's up. Q's up. All right, they're not green, but they're definitely not tanking. Tesla back to 424. Tesla was just at 418. Tesla is not doing too bad. Tesla holding up. Dips are getting bought. People are coming in on some of these names. Like Polar Express. If you can't hear the bell, you don't believe. Exactly. If you have to see the bricks to believe them, then they're not real. This is about faith. This is about, this is about believing in something greater than yourself. All right, so we have a new Tesla video. Let's see. Do we want to play this Tesla video? Well, let's play the Tesla video right here. We'll play it right here. We're gonna turn the audio off because they probably have some music here. But it's end of year recap. In 2024, you set records and made history. Would you buy Grab at these levels? Yes. I don't have that much money, but I would buy. I bought Grab all this whole week, dude. I bought it $4.90, $4.85, $5. I bought a ton of Grab this week. Produced 100 million 4680 cells. Wow, that's incredible, dude. That is incredible. Reached record deployments of Powerwall in the third quarter. This is their 2024 recap. Produced 400,000 Model Y vehicles in Berlin. Maybe I bought one of those. Achieved 10,000 units a week on the battery line. Sometimes you got to look at this stuff and just be like, goodness gracious, what an amazing company, dude. What an amazing company. We got the consumer sentiment in 1 minute. We got it in 1 minute. They produced 3 million vehicles in Shanghai. Positive gross margin for Cybertruck. That was a big deal. That was announced a couple months ago. 201 Megapack units in 1 week. That was amazing as well. Opened 159 new sales serves. Oh, Lithuania. Do we have anyone from Lithuania in the audience? Tesla opened their first showroom in Lithuania yesterday. So the Lithuanians now have a shot to visit some Tesla showrooms here. Cybertruck was released in Canada and Mexico, unlocking deliveries in North America. 86% of employees completed in the Tesla Pulse survey. These wins are your wins. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. All right, data. We got the data. Consumer expectations from Michigan. 74 versus 74. Came in line with expectations. 74 versus 74. That's good. That's good. That's not bad. Again, the market actually cares about this survey. This is the one they actually care about. 5-year inflation expectations came in at 3%. Market thought it would be 3.1. That's good. That's lower. Consumer expectations, 73.3 versus 71. That's good. Current conditions, 75 versus 77. That's a little bit lower. Inflation expectation finals, 2.8 versus 2.9. That's a beat. That's good as well. That's not bad. Let's go to the markets. Let's go to the markets. Let's go to the markets. Let's see what we got in markets right here. Are we green? Oh, we're green, folks. We're going green. We're going green. Or at least we're recovering. We're not literally green, but we're recovering. Look at Palantir. Palantir's about to be 74. Robinhood's about to go to 37. Broadcom's up almost 3%. Enphase and SolarEdge, they're acting as a safety today, I think, because they got sold off a lot during the week. So maybe that's why they're being a safety, but they're green. GameStop's about to go green. Google's still down 1%. Amazon's down 1%, but Amazon and Google were closer to being down 2%. So you're getting a little bit of movement to the upside, even though they're still red. Nvidia's basically green, 130 right here. S&P is the closest it's been all day to going green. The Qs are getting bought up. Small caps are healthily green, up 1%. Nike's still down 2%. Bitcoin's trying to make its way back to 96K. That was really good data. Consumer sentiment and PCE coming in good was very important. We needed that. We absolutely needed that. That was one that was important to get, and we got it. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Palantir's green. Yeah, Palantir's just about to go green. This is good. All right. So again, like how do we kind of reconcile all of this? Today is quad witching day, so you got a lot of crazy stuff happening. Palantir's like 3 cents from going green. And then you have the government shutdown threats. But then when you get some good data on PCE and consumer expectations from the Michigan survey, things tend to get bought up. Why? Because that data shows that the economy is still doing well. It just got overextended, and you got a lot of external factors that are happening, like quad witching, which caused some of the volatility. That, to me, again, I had this analysis a couple of days ago, and I think this was hopefully an accurate take of what happened with JPOW. It was a catch-22. If we didn't cut, we would have tanked. If we cut, but we had low expectations for 2025, we would have tanked. The only way we wouldn't have tanked is if we cut, but we said we're going to keep cutting aggressively in 2025. But even then we might have tanked, because the entire market would have been like, wait a second, if you think inflation's going up, how are you, like telling us the truth that you're going to cut? Like the market would have just thought JPOW was lying. So there was really no way JPOW could have won. And you had markets already overextended. So that resulted in a ton of volatility. But that was not a legitimate reason for the market to take a hit. That was an irrational, you can't win, you can only lose type of reason. And when that tends to happen, you get buyers stepping in, especially when the VIX goes up 74%, and they buy that dip, which is not too bad. Matt Money said, I rolled my GBTC 105 covered calls for about 50% profit and opened 115 covered calls for February. I used 50% of my profit to buy a few more shares of Bitcoin. I don't hate that. I mean, look, if you're into Bitcoin, this is the dip, right? I mean, unless you either think this is going back to 85 or you think this is the dip, because we tested 92 in the pre-markets. And since then, all the data that came out, Bitcoin has reacted positively to that. So you got to believe this is the dip. If you think Bitcoin is holding up, I mean, you have to structurally believe that, nope, Bitcoin's going back to 90. Growth stocks are going back down another 10%. If you think that narrative is intact. Even Tesla, 2.5% away from going green. It was just at 418. Now it's at 425. So the buyers are really stepping in around that 410 level or 415 level for Tesla. SoFi 3 cents away from 15. Microsoft down 1.4%. Palantir 74.15. Again, very close to going green. Google's down only 1% from down 2%. Robinhood 36.77. You got a nice green candle right there. Grab at 489. Where's Novo Nordisk? Is anyone buying that one? That one is still down 19%. That one is not getting any little bit of recovery. Not that one. Josh has a good question for the chat. Let's ask everyone that. One stock to buy in 2025 that you have to hold for 5 years. What are you buying? All right. What do you guys think? What do you think? One stock to buy in 2025 that you have to hold for 5 years. What are you buying? I think there's a lot of names here, dude. There's a lot of names. It could be a new stock. It could be a stock you already have. But there's a ton of names that I think can qualify for this. For me, Amazon, Rocket Lab, Tesla, Palantir, I think any of those for the next 5 years, holding that would not be an issue. Again, see, here's the thing. This is the thing with this question. Like, the answer is the Qs. The answer is tech, right? And no matter how much people think tech is overextended and they want it to fall, the answer is long tech next 5 years. I don't know if we can go wrong. Oh, we have some news in regards to tech. First of all, let me show you guys this. So if you're on the market close, you saw this news. But let me show you guys this news. This news has implications on Tesla and the overall robotics sector. Okay. So Brett Adcock, CEO of Figure, humanoid robotics company backed by NVIDIA, Jeff Bezos, Microsoft, and OpenAI. Look at what he announced yesterday. This week, we delivered Figure version 2 humanoid robots to our commercial client, and they're currently hard at work. It marks 31 months from filing our C Corp to getting our humanoid robot in revenue. Today, Figure officially became a revenue-generating company. This is really bullish. Number one, it's bullish for the humanoid robotic sector that a startup that just went from inception to revenue in less than 3 years in the humanoid robotic space is actually making money. That's bullish, right? They have their first signs of revenue. Number two, we saw Google partner with Aptronic yesterday. Why is Google partnering with Aptronic? Probably because they want to get into the humanoid robotic space. And so that's bullish for the overall bot thesis. And then lastly, it's really bullish for Tesla because we know what Tesla's working on when it comes to Optimus. Tesla is now 430. They are just 1.4% away from going green. So you got Figure making bots. You got Google partnering with Apptronic to make bots. We know that Tesla's making bots. Figure just made some revenue. Google just validated the space by working with another humanoid robotics company. Tesla already has been saying that this is a massive multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. And on top of that, all of these bots will be run on chips made by NVIDIA. And when you put all of that together, speaking of NVIDIA, they just went green for the day, 130.9. I mean, like, again, you can't go bearish tech, in my opinion, over the next 5 years. I mean, just on bots alone, you got to be bullish tech. And we haven't talked about all the other things that are bullish for tech as well. So when you put that stuff together, I think the Qs are one of the easiest ways to be bullish into 2025. And I think that's what we're seeing currently right now. Hood green. Did we go green on the hood? We went green on the hood. By the way, Robinhood won an award by Yahoo Finance yesterday. Yeah, 37. Not bad on hood. The award from Yahoo Finance was Comeback of the Year. So they won an award yesterday, Comeback of the Year. Vlad did an interview with them. We could probably watch that at the end of the stream. But that was not bad at all. Doug says, and the bots will need memory, a.k.a. Micron. Well, the bots are going to need a lot of stuff from the semis, right? And that's why I also think SMH is not the craziest idea. I mean, look, if NVIDIA is making those chips, there's going to be a lot of partners helping NVIDIA make those chips for the bots. SMH right here at 238, down from about 255. Or where was it at the July top? 280. Wow. SMH got to 283. Holy crap, dude. It was almost at 300. Then it went all the way down to 197, rebounded to 255, now back at 238. If you believe in the semis, you believe that it's not as cyclical. We had Dan Ives yesterday saying that this is not a cyclical thing. This is going to be a very, very, long-term story on NVIDIA. And semis still aren't the worst idea in the world. And all of them are running on Palantir's AIP. So Palantir doesn't have any robotics deals, but I think there is a world in which some of these robots are definitely going to have to be managed and integrated via software, and Foundry is going to be taking all the data from the robots. Like, there's an argument where I do think Palantir could partner with one of these robotics companies, and that would be epic. That would be super, super epic. Oh, bots are, yeah, the cloud is going to be really crucial to running the bots as well. I mean, all of these things are going to be interacting with the big, with the Max 7 companies. And it's just another reason to be bullish tech. S&P 500 is the closest it's been to green, down about 0.18%. Meta down about 0.78%. Apple recovering. All of big tech looks like it's about to go green. They were all down about 3%. Now they're all down about 0.7%. Robinhood actually is green, 37.03. Not bad. And then Bitcoin just slightly under 96K right now. 7 a.m. was a good time to buy today. Yeah, looks like it, at least so far. We still have a couple hours left to see how the market plays out. But 7 a.m., even 4 a.m. was not a crazy time to be buying different stocks. Again, I think that's the thing. I think that's what most of you guys said, right? When you woke up and you saw your portfolio, like August 5th, I think it was like legit fear. Like, I remember I was scared. I was like, oh, this is like bad. Today was not fear. Today was like, this is annoying, but it's not fear. And I think that's why we're seeing some people end up by this dip. Let's get a Rick and his thoughts on consumer sentiment, and then we'll keep going from there.
Now, these are December final reads, so we'll take mid-month read and toss it. Usually there's not big changes. There are some significant changes here. 74 remains the headline. That was our mid-month read, and it's the strongest reading going back to April. Here's where it changes a bit. Our last read on current conditions was 77.7. It's now 75.1. It dropped a bit, but it is still the best read going back to April. So we lost a bit, but it's still, well, consider that all the previous months going back to April were all in the low to mid 60s. So it is a bit of an improvement on a macro vision. If you look at expectations, exactly the opposite. 71.6 mid-month, we popped up to 73.3. And that is the best number, well, just since last month when it was 76.9, and that was the best since March. So they're holding up well. If we look at the...
Not too bad. Not too bad on this Michigan data. We have Ed Yardeni as well on CNBC. Let's get his thoughts on this little market volatility and what he thinks going into the end of the year. Again, he has a $7,000 price target on the S&P by 2025.
January. Well, I think we are in correction mode right now. We could be down 10%. I mean, there's certainly some issues here. The circus is back in town in Washington, or maybe it never left. And so that's certainly become an issue. I think the market did a pretty good job the other day of discounting the fact that the Fed has come to realize the economy is strong, inflation's a little sticky. So there's really no rush to lower interest rates much more next year. And now they're talking about 2 rather than 4. There's a longshoreman's strike potential in the middle of the month. And then, of course, there's always my friends, the bond vigilantes. They're getting a little twitchy here. They're not really happy with what's going on. I think Trump, for a while there, bought himself some time with the Doge boys, or that were set to kind of make things saner in Washington. And that's a big task, as we're saying.
You do point to some, I guess, quote, bad reasons why yields are up. Is it mostly about DC and fiscal responsibility?
I think so. And also the fact that inflation seems to be stickier. And I think the Fed's coming around to that conclusion. They basically said that, I think they're now more even-handed here. They were saying for a while all they really wanted to do was keep the unemployment rate from going up because inflation was sort of under control. And now I think they're realizing, well, that's not quite true. And they didn't really get to 2%, and it's really not sticking at 2%. It's sticking more like 2.5% to 3%.
I am curious about inflation and how the consumer feels about that. We just got these consumer sentiment numbers quite strong. Many readings that we're getting on the consumer sort of tells us that they're spending, even if maybe they're not thrilled about higher prices. So how do you square that circle?
Well, you never want to bet against American consumers. When we're happy, we spend money. When we're depressed, sometimes we spend more money. Look, there's a lot of people my age. I'm still working for a living, but my friends, the baby boomers, are retiring, and many of them had 2 kids that are adults. They don't have mortgages. They don't have college payments. And they're sitting at collectively on $76 trillion, not billion, $76 trillion of nest eggs. And they're starting to spend that. I think the savings rate's going to go negative. And by the way, they actually like to see interest rates high because a lot of them don't have everything in stocks. They have it in money market funds. So you have to kind of put that, we really can't, in other words, generalize about the consumer. There are consumers that are not doing well, where delinquency rates are going up. But all in all, the baby boomers are kind of keeping the economy growing.
What do you make about what's going to happen with currencies if indeed we do see some new tariff policy, whether it's increasing what we already are seeing in China, introducing new countries? How does that all shake out when it comes to currency?
Robin at 37.24, that's green. Palantir 74.80, that's green.
This incoming administration has obviously a different view than the previous one. Although
the previous administration didn't lift the tariffs that were in place.
No, exactly. But I'm saying the previous one's attitude on globalization was, you know, we all can work these things out together. This incoming administration is let's focus on America's interests and let everybody else focus on their own interests and see if we can come up with negotiated deals. So they're, you know, Trump's going to be using tariffs as a way to negotiate. But I think with regards to the currency, we may have a situation where if Trump raises the tariff by 10% across the board, that the currency is already up 8% since its recent low. And so that could be an offset. And that actually will force foreigners to pay for the tariff. If the dollar doesn't go up and they raise tariffs, then American consumers are going to pay it. So it's a complicated story and nobody really knows. The thing about the Trump 2.0 is it's a lot of moving parts. And some of them, I think on balance,
I think no one knows what's gonna happen with Trump, but as of now, the market is not necessarily too scared as they are buying this dip. Kris, thank you for the $10 super chat. Coffee on me. Appreciate you, Kris. We are getting some green here, folks. Hood, 37.29. This sucker was at $34 at 7 a.m. NVIDIA was at 126. We're at 131. S&P is green, baby. S&P is green. Palantir, 6 cents away, 4 cents away from 1 cent away from 75. This thing was at $70 in the pre-market. Let me check resistance on 75. We should get there, right? Is there real resistance right here? 75 has how many shares? No, we should get there. We're there. There we go. There we go. We're there. 75 is there for Palantir. SoFi back above 15. Squares up 1%. Grindr is green. Intel is green. We're green, folks. We're green. Tesla, 433. Tesla was at 4 what was the low today? 411. It was 410. 410 in the pre-markets. 410. It was green. It was red. We're back at 433. I mean, 410 is kind of close to 400. If you were looking for a 400 entry this morning, if you were awake, that could have been one of those opportunities. Victor, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciated, Victor. Thank you, Victor, for the $10 super chat. And Chris, thank you for the $10 super chat as well. Jeff, thanks for the $2 super chat. What's the status on the House vote? They'll be deciding later today. So we'll know later today. And, hopefully before Christmas, they make sure the government is funded. But we will find that out later today. We still have 10:30. Yeah, we got 13 minutes until 10:30. That could maybe ruin it. So I hope we can get through 10:30. But again, that Michigan consumer sentiment was really good, dude. That and PCE, if 10:30 is weird, then that's just algorithms, because those were the only two pieces of data that really mattered this week outside of JPOW. And those came in really good. Like, you couldn't have asked for them to be that much better. So that is not bad. Hood up 1.16, 37.37. Carnival giving up a lot of its gains, but it's green. Carnival, I think the Carnival stock doesn't matter as much as their actual earnings. That many people, record revenues on a cruise line, to me matters more than what the stock is doing. But the stock is up 1.5. It was up almost 5%. But the earnings themselves are showing that people are spending, which is a good thing. Robin right there, 37.40. Not bad right there on the hood. Okay, so let's ask a question. Here's the question. Over the past 3 days of volatility, how many people thought to themselves, even for a second, I wish I had taken some profits? But I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you had that thought. I'm curious, how many people actually came to a conclusion, even if for a second or a couple minutes, that you should have taken some profits at higher levels? And how many people just felt, no, this is stupid. There was no mistake on me not taking profits. This was more so the market being the market. I want to get a gauge on how many people actually felt they should have took profits versus should have not. Let's do an actual poll on that. Let me do an actual poll. Let's go to. Oh, what is the other poll? Hold on. What's the poll? Because we switched computers. So what's the other poll that we did? Let me see the results of that one. That one was. Do we end green today? Okay, 61% say yes, 39% say no. Okay, so let's do this poll. This poll, the question is, did you regret not taking profits during this week? My answer to this is no. I genuinely, and I would be honest if my answer was yes, I genuinely did not think this whole week, through all the volatility, oh man, I wish I had sold some Robinhood. Like not even for a second did I think that. It was more so, and the market is always humbling and everyone has to accept that, but it was more so, okay, the market's just being a little moody. This is not some, just like August 5th, right? I don't think anyone, there are people probably having some fear on August 5th that they should have sold earlier, but when you saw the dip opportunity, most people didn't think, oh man, I wish I should have sold. Most people were like, how do I get more of Palantir at 20 or Robinhood at 13? I got Robinhood at under 13, I got it at 13.98 at one point, bro. Like that opportunity was just more, less about fear of taking profits, more about let me get in. And I think kind of the same thing was here this time, not to the extent of August 5th, but it was still kind of the same. 68% of you said no, you did not regret taking profits this week. I think that's fair. And I don't think for those that felt regrets, unless you were in Novo Nordisk or something, right? Like where yeah, maybe you have some regrets, but that's a problem with Novo Nordisk. With Tesla, I don't think anyone can have regrets about not selling at 480. First of all, we're going back to 480. We're going past 500. That will happen. But second of all, Tesla's at 430. That's not that big of a deal. If you literally bought at 488, okay, that's definitely annoying. But we will be back there. MicroStrategy, I could see some people feeling some regrets on that one. But if you believe in Bitcoin, that one's coming back. Even if the net asset value premium never makes sense. If Bitcoin's at 200,000, 150,000, MicroStrategy is going higher. It's just inevitable in terms of how the crypto ecosystem thinks of this asset. So I just don't think there should be that many regrets on this week. Palantir right here, 75.07. Bitcoin right here, 96.50. What I'm trying to say is I don't think people should feel that they got too greedy with their profits and are like, oh my God, I should have taken some off the table. Like, sure, every time there's an overextended market, that's a fair thing to do. But this was not an overextended market that had structural inefficiencies, aka bad earnings, to make you think that this is an obvious time to take some profits, right? It was not 2021 where looking back in hindsight, it was an obvious time to take profit. At least that's not what I think it feels like. And that's why I think this dip is getting bought right now. That's why I think this dip is getting bought right now. I was way behind the S&P 500 until June, kind of a hedgehog portfolio though. Anyway, keep up. Yeah, well, look, I think a lot of people towards the end of the year are getting some of those gains to match the S&P 500 as well. Basically 25 to 30% this year for a decent amount of portfolios right here. Someone said they sold up some Tesla at 477 or 475, not a bad sell. Are you trying to say that Palantir is a sell? No, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying like I didn't think of selling Palantir at all because at 75 there was no thesis to me. Look, I mean, look, is Palantir overextended? Yes, but I've been pretty clear about this for like the past 3 months. If you're long Palantir, this is not a sell. Maybe a trim if you want to take some profits, but this is not a get rid of your position in my opinion. This company is too special to not be a part of the story. Same thing with Tesla, right? It kind of sucks if you're not part of the Tesla story. Trust me, I feel it. It kind of sucks when you're not participating because you know how obvious it is that they're a good company, fantastic culture. That's what Dan Ives, when Dan Ives was on the interview yesterday, he was talking about people don't get Palantir's culture. Dan Ives actually has met the C-suites at Palantir. Like, they know who he is. They've had conversations with him. I've gotten the privilege of getting to see the Palantir employees in person. That culture is different, bro. That culture is different. And regardless of what's happening with the stock, you don't sell off a company with that type of culture because it's so hard to replicate a good culture where people want to stay for. I mean, I met people that were there for 18 years. It doesn't happen. Employees there for 18 years at a company doesn't happen. You got to be motivated by a mission, especially when they weren't getting paid for the majority of the years because their stock wasn't liquid. And it's not like they were getting a big salary that they could have got at Google. Robin at 3740. So that culture is something very, very special that you want to be part of that story. Is TJ coming in today? No, TJ's on vacation. TJ's, I think, coming back on Monday. So TJ's on vacation with his wife. I was blaming TJ for the market being down. I was like, dude, the reason we're tanking is because the market's down. Because you're on vacation. But he'll be back next week. That's why Farzad is so convicted on Tesla. Yeah, Farzad worked at Tesla as well. That's why he has a ton of conviction as well. I mean, he saw that culture firsthand. Amit, I think context matters in that question. Are you talking options or long-term investments? Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the general portfolio. I mean, obviously, if you have options expiring tomorrow, you were, and then they tanked because the market tanked. Then you probably have regrets. But I'm not speaking about that because that's just, you got to have proper risk management there. Robin at 37.45. I'm just talking about in general. If you got NVIDIA at 100 and it went to 150 and now it's back to like 125, are you feeling bad that you didn't sell? I don't think anyone's like, man, I should have sold my NVIDIA at 148. I don't think people are feeling that right now because you believe 148 is undervalued. B, you believe 125 is undervalued. C, if it gets to 100, you're probably buying more. And that is why I think Dan and Tom have been correct around this idea of the bull market. Every dip deserves to get bought because the companies are proving why they deserve to have more capital flowing into them. That's basically what Dan Ives said, or Tom Lee said yesterday as well about the macro landscape that we're at. Now, if you had some Nuke, yes, this is one or you probably were not taking some profits on. Is Nuke up again today? Is this thing up? This thing's down 17%. All right, there you go. Yeah, this thing, where did it peak at? This thing peaked at $80. Now it's at 43. If you were in this thing at 80, that you might have some regrets on not taking profits on this one. But outside of this one, everything else, I think most people are happy getting more exposure to these names. You guys saying call Steve? I don't know if Steve's gonna pick up, dude. He was in a lot of meetings yesterday. Let me text him. Let me see if he can call in. I'll text him. Steve was in a ton of meetings yesterday, dude. He told me he had he's closing some deals. Let's just say that. Steve is closing some deals for the company he works at. And so he's been pretty busy week. What else? Does options expiring day happen every month? Yes, but the quad expirations of options, which is derivatives, index options, all that happens 4 times every year. December is one of those. So that's why today is that day. Again, even with the quad witching, the volatility is to the upside. S&P 500 at 585, IWM at 221, NVIDIA at 131, SoundHound at 1955. That's up 3.75%. Grindr's 4 cents away from 17. All the quantum names are up. RGTI is up 20%. GameStop's up a little bit. Google basically breaking even right here. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon was down 3%, down 0.5%. Salesforce, look at that. 340. Mark Benioff's hiring 2,000 people to sell their AI stuff, which is a little counterintuitive because it's AI agents that should be kind of selling themselves. But you do need a Salesforce, and Salesforce is good at having a Salesforce. So now look, the fact that they're hiring that many people to sell AI means that they think there's a lot of demand for AI. That's bullish. That is bullish on where they think the market's going. Wow, Hood 37.55 from 34.02 to 37.55 in a couple hours. If I had money, I would have bought at 34 in free markets. I have nothing, bro. Nothing. Bank of America has like $2 in it. I got nothing. I'm in the markets. I'm in. I'm completely in. Bitcoin's at 97. Are we in 97 on Bitcoin? Yeah. The thing is, I was buying the dip all week as well, which is not the absolute bottom, which is obviously not easy to do. If I had waited until pre-markets today, I probably would have got the absolute bottom. But, it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that. If you got today, then it wasn't too bad. What's your idea on SoFi sub 15? I like SoFi under 15. I like it. I think SoFi under 15 is good. Under 15 is good to me. Is this a good DCA on Hood? I mean, look, I was buying at 49, so I like it at 37.50 as well. I've done all the analysis on why I think it's undervalued. I think it's closer to a $50 fair value stock. So yeah, I think it's a good buy here, but at 34, it was even better in the pre-market. SoFi as well, up 1%. SoFi just went green. Google, there you go, baby. Google's green. Google is green. Where's Palantir? Palantir is at 75.40 on Mr. Palantir. Palantir is not slowing down. Again, the Bears are so mad about this name, bro. The Bears are so mad. They can't believe it's holding 70. They cannot believe it. And honestly, like the reason they can't believe it is because it's the same reason why they never really got into the name. It was always some random external thing for how they thought about Palantir versus Palantir itself. We got Kramer talking about Palantir right here. Kramer's been bullish since like May. It hasn't really affected Palantir. Here he is talking about Palantir and Doge.
I do want to mention, you mentioned Palantir. And Palantir is probably the stock that bounces the quickest. And it does bounce the quickest in part because of a piece called The Defense Reformation, which is written by Shyam Sankar. Came out in October. I urge everyone to read it. It is so brilliant about what's wrong with the department, the monopsony that runs the Defense Department, and how they can cut out costs. I will tell you, this is the team that I think will go with Musk.
You wrote about it pretty early this morning, and they do extend this Army contract, which is like a $600 million contract.
That's a Trojan horse. I mean, they are basically saying, look, we're done with the idea that there's just these companies that are going to get their way, where cost plus is really bad. And they talk about how basically there's like the five families. There's these companies that control it, and they got to be blown out entirely because they cost too much. David, I know that there's hype here, and I know that you know Alex Carr. The company's bigger than Alex, and this Shyam Sankar is, I think he's amazing. And the Defense Reformation, they are in. They understand the procurement process. I salute them, and I back them.
Even Kramer can't deny it, bro. And, people think about the Kramer effect. The Kramer effect hasn't really hurt Palantir, dude. Palantir is just too strong. I mean, Palantir, also Kramer's still bearish on Palantir technically. So it's actually the inverse because Kramer has never loved Palantir or loved the stock. He's called it a cult, all this stuff. But given he's seeing the strength of the stock, he can't deny that there is something legitimate here. And this is not a conspiracy theory. All of us thinking, oh, Doge is bullish for Palantir. There are many people. I mean, when I went to the DC office, I got to speak to Greg Little, who's one of the people that works in their government business. And even he was just like, dude, we think Doge is a way for the government to actually audit themselves to some extent. And maybe it's effective, maybe it's not, but it's the first type of real internal auditing we've seen in history for the government. And if you got some actual pressure by Trump to spend efficiently, that's where when you have a conversation with Palantir, they can show you how much money you save, why they're better than everyone else, and you can have a true meritocratic process in regards to software procurement inside of the United States of America. Along with DoD spending on software going up by about 1 or 2% over the next 5 years. I mean, yeah, look, that tends to be bullish. We're almost at 76. Let me check resistance on 76. 75.94. I don't think there's any resistance. There's 47,000 shares, 47,000 to get to 76. 47,000. Robin at 37.75. Not bad. Not bad at all for the hood. Robin at 37.75. 75.94. Tesla's green. Are we officially green on Tesla? Yeah, Tesla's green. Tesla is green. From the depths of hell back up above water, 410 to 437 on Tessie. Not bad. Pouncer just hit 76. Bitcoin just hit 97. Robinhood just hit 37.70. IWM's up 1.29%. S&P 500's up 1%. Nvidia's up 2%, 132. Meta's up 1%. Apple is up above 250. SoFi's 1530. Square is green. Google is green. Grindr 1710. Intel 1950 up 2%. Next Decade up 4%. Broadcom up 3%. Grab at 494. iBits at 55.25. GameStop's up 1%. Amazon's green. We got the market going back green. Pouncer right there, 76.14 currently right now. Got some green. We got some green. Loop for a while. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Thanks for the confidence and confirmation bias for buying the dip. Thank you, Loop. I appreciate it. I heard some of you guys were telling me that Meet Kevin went full on bearish yesterday. Like full on, I hate the markets, bearish, sell everything. That's what you guys told me yesterday. I don't know if he still feels like that. But see, this is why I think people have a problem with Meet Kevin, right? And again, it's not any shade of Meet Kevin, but it's going back to what Dan Ives was saying yesterday. Meet Kevin turned bullish last week, and he started buying Tesla after saying it was going to 150, started buying at 380, 400. And then tomorrow or yesterday, based on what JPow said, then he goes full on bearish. Like it's hard for people to trust you, dude, when you do that. It's really tough. One thing I'll say about Jeremy, and I know people have their issues with Jeremy, when Jeremy has conviction, he sticks with it. Sometimes, like with the TTCFs of the world, you can have too much conviction. But if he's bullish on something, he is like the definition of long-term investing, right? And love him or hate him, he stays with the thesis. And I think people would rather have someone they don't agree with on a lot of things have a thesis versus have someone who flip-flops off of JPow. If JPow's the reason you're going to flip-flop, like you're going to flip-flop every other month. Like that just can't be the reason you flip-flop. That can't be the reason you change your entire paradigm after saying you're buying because, what JPow gave us a little bit less than we expected on rate cuts. It's just emotional, dude. It's emotional. When I get bearish, if I ever get bearish, there will be a lot of analysis on why I'm bearish. And I would have to see a ton of data, and that data would have to match a variety of different theses that exist in my head on why I would be bearish. Because to be bearish and to go against the stock market, you need to honestly, to be bearish, you need to be really smart. To be bullish, you don't have to be smart. I'm not trying to say I'm stupid right here, but even though some of you may think I act stupid, but like in general, the markets go up, right? So anyone who's bullish by definition is just agreeing with the mainstream consensus over time. To call the 2021 top, you've got to be so damn smart to see that it's going to collapse. To call the 2008 top, you got to be really smart. To call the 4 a.m. bottom today in the pre-markets after the stuff that happened with JPow today, you've got to be really smart. Most people can't do that, even if they think they can. And I think sometimes people think they can and think they have all this, intellectual capacity to figure that stuff out. And then they get smacked in the face because you're not smarter than the market most of the time. You're just not. You're not smarter than the market. Most of the time, the market moves in unison. And being a contrarian, especially to the bearish downside, you got to be a really smart contrarian. Otherwise, it's not easy. Thank you for the 50 pounds, Pete Wigley. I definitely didn't look at Tessa's comment before I played your super chat to know that was a pound. That was all on my own. But thank you for the 50 pounds. Really appreciate it, Pete Wigley. Thank you for being in the chat. Your last name Wigley reminds me of the gum. Wrigley. You guys know that gum? Wrigley gum. Dude, I haven't had gum in like 10 years. Does anyone eat gum? Like, oh my God, dude, this is bringing so much nostalgia looking at this. Like, does anyone actually eat gum on a daily basis? I don't think I've eaten gum in years, bro. I feel like when I was little, I used to eat gum. Does anyone eat gum? It reminds me of Wrigley. So thank you, Pete. Appreciate you. I mean chew gum. I mean chew, like not eat. You guys know what I'm saying, bro. You know what I mean. I mean chew it, not eat it. I think if you swallow gum, it like stays in your stomach for like 30 years or something. That was the stat. I think I swallowed gum when I was little, dude. I thought I was gonna die or something, dude. Like I think everyone's at that moment, right, where they swallowed gum and they're like, oh my god. But no, chew gum. I don't chew gum. I haven't chewed gum in a long time. MicroStrategy right here, 348. It's probably because I'm talking all the time. That's why I can't chew gum, because I can't get enough of myself talking. So I have no time to chew gum. Dude, there's like 3 people that say they chew gum. Most people are making fun of me for saying eat gum, but most of you guys are saying you don't chew gum. Most of you guys, there's a lot of comments saying no one eats it, bro. You know what I mean? Chewing it. Yeah, I do. I don't chew gum. I don't chew gum. Amit for being really smart says sometimes the dumbest shit. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. All right, let's finish up with Ed. Let's get his thoughts, and then we got some other headlines to go on in the markets. But let's see what Ed has to say, and then we'll keep going from there.
People think it's going to work out all right, but as we can see already, the devil's in the detail. The devil is in Washington.
Well, tariffs and deportations could bring inflation, which is going to then keep rates higher, which is going to keep the dollar higher, which is
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of the position that we forecasters are in. Is like, we're trying to figure out how all these moving parts. It's kind of like a patient that has an ailment, and you give them, okay, try these 5 pills, and you forget to look at how they interact. And it may work. It may give us some positive results, but there may be some unintended consequences. So I feel comfortable being in a correction camp. I've been bullish for a while. I think it's time to, I think a lot of people are going to be taking their profits early next year. They don't want to do it now because of taxes. And so I think there's going to be some profit taking also. So I think January is going to be a sloppy month.
Finally, we like to check in with you on productivity, and we are hearing more specific conversations about agentic workforce and AI and big sales pitches from Salesforce. What do you think of that? Is the needle moving?
I think it is moving. I've been rooting for what I call the roaring 2020s, recognizing that the 1920s was roaring, but it didn't end well. And so that was a tariff issue. But with regards to productivity, the productivity story is not a forecast. It's actually been improving. And now we're kind of back to average. We had been below average. And I think instead of 2%, we're going to see 3.5% over the second half of the decade.
So relatively bullish. Ed Yardeni still feels that this is going to be a great year or great decade for tech, roaring 20s, even if we have some hiccups. So overall, bull thesis is intact, even if January might be a little tough for some of the bulls. Don Tomasino, thank you for the 50, I believe, Hong Kong dollars. Amit, I don't know fug about shit, but one thing I know for sure, these past few days would have been much harder without this community that you built for us. I appreciate you, Don. Thank you for being here every day. Thank you guys for being here. I think a lot of you guys get value from the community. I get a lot of value from the community. I mean, all putting my thoughts together and getting it out there into the world and getting your guys' perspectives. It's really special just having that community together. And so I deeply appreciate it every day as well, no matter how much you guys make fun of me over my semantic paradigms of how I pronounce words. MicroStrategy right here, 351, up 7%. So MicroStrategy is up. Don, thank you for being here. Heavy on the avocado. That's a hell of a name. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Thanks, Amit, on making your daily show a must watch. I appreciate you heavy on the avocado. At least you're heavy on the avocado and not heavy on the mayo, because if it was heavy on the mayo, that would be not the best. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching every single day. I'm not really an avocado toast guy. I've had it before. I'm not a big avocado on my toast, avocado, salmon, bagels. I don't really do that stuff, but for those that like the avocado on their toast, I think it's good. Now, mayo, on the other hand, is just not what we can do with. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, it's the same thing with August 5th, right? August 5th, markets were crashing. We had a nice community. We had people like Steve and Kris join the show. It kind of like calmed down everybody. This is not anything structural. This is a unwinding of a trade that shouldn't really have that much of an impact. And that was a 6-hour stream on that day. And I think because of that stream, I was more easily able to buy the dip. And I think a lot of you guys were easily able to buy the dip versus, capitalizing on the fear mongering of people being scared and essentially manipulating them with relatively no data other than stocks are going down and then feeding on that fear, which is what I think a lot of people do in finance. And that's very toxic. And it's just not a right way to mentally be prepared to invest in the markets, because you're going to get some down days. It's just going to happen. Robin at 37.85. Robin is up 2.4%. All right, folks, we got Goolsbie. We got to watch Goolsbie. Let's see what he's talking about in regards to rate cuts. He is one of the Fed presidents. Let's see what he has to say.
Fed President Austin Goolsbie. Austin, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, great to see you again, Steve.
And it just so happens, I guess this happens around December every now and then, that we have your favorite inflation gauge out this morning. It surprised the market a little bit to the downside. What's your takeaway, Austin?
Well, it's coming into the Christmas season, and it's nice to get a number that's better than expected. And I've been feeling that we're still on path to get to 2%. And at least for this new month, you don't want to make too much out of any one month, but I'm hopeful that this suggests that the couple of months of firming were more of a bump than a change in path.
Yeah, I asked the Fed chairman about this earlier this week in D.C., whether or not he was looking through it. You had maybe some hurricane effects in there, some other things. Were you among the committee members, Austin, who raised his or her outlook for inflation next year?
For next year, as you know, the dot plots are anonymous, but I have been feeling like there's a little more uncertainty, there's a little more noise.
That means yes. If the dot plots are anonymous, no, bro. That means yes. He definitely thinks inflation is going to be higher than expected next year. So we know Goolsbie was probably on the side of, let's be a little cautious in 2025, which is okay, but that's a yes.
And so I raised a bit what do you want to call it? The shallowness. I made the rate path a little more shallow in 2025, but I've been saying that the overall thread is that inflation is way down. I believe we're on path to 2%. And over the next 12 to 18 months, rates can still go down a fair amount. And whether that happens 3 months earlier or 3 months later, I don't think is the most material thing. The thing that's material is we've gotten inflation down. We need to keep making some progress. We've gotten unemployment to a kind of a stable, full employment basis. We want to keep that stabilized. And the way to do that is to have the rates come down to something like neutral.
The chairman on Wednesday, Austin, said the following things, not together, but separately. He said, the Fed is significantly less restrictive than it had been, but is still meaningfully restrictive. Where do you come in on both of those sides? Where do you put us between
I agree with both of those.
Okay, give us an idea.
I agree with both of those.
You think we're still meaningfully restrictive, putting downward pressure on inflation, and yet we're significantly less restrictive than we were, which means you sort of still think we're far from the neutral rate.
Yeah, all three of those. I don't think those are contradictory in any way. We had raised rates 500 basis points in a year. If you looked at just the real federal funds rate, it was the highest in decades. We're now down 100. We've cut 100 basis points. And so we're significantly less restrictive than we were. But if you just take as an approximation, where is the longer run neutral, something like the median of what comes out of the dot plots on the committee, they think that the ultimate rate is around 3% with inflation of 2%, a real rate of 1%. We're still above that. So I still think it's meaningfully restrictive. And that's why I say over the next 12 to 18 months, if conditions keep on the way that they have over the last 18 months, I think rates come down a fair bit more.
Austin, it's Courtney.
All right, so you got Goolsbie saying, hey, I'm a little bearish in terms of rate cuts next year because of inflation expectations, but he does think there's a good shot that we get inflation to come down and then we get more rate cuts. King Hazy, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate it. Amit, do you have any picks for next year? I will be having a lot more of my 2025 predictions going into the end of the year, and we'll do a full video and live stream about that. Robin right here, 3788. But I said this a week ago. Grab Shopify, Hood, Palantir, Tesla, Amazon, and the Qs are definitely on my list. There's a lot of other names. Rocket Lab's on the list. Reddit's on the list. A couple of different names that I'm looking at. But I'll have a much more comprehensive list next year, or not next year, the end of this year, on what I'm looking at for 2025. So we'll be looking at that as well. Jim, thank you as well. I think Jim commented right here. Amit, I've been watching since 2023, but never commented. Thank you for being here. Jim, thank you for being on the show every day, and thank you for consuming the content. And congrats on Palantir. You got into Palantir April 2023. Yeah, that was like at what, $7? That was right before they got profitable in May. So you got in literally right before they took off. So congratulations to you on that one, and thank you for being here. Bitcoin 97.3, folks. Palantir 76.2. Tessie 441, up 1.1%. Robinhood 8 cents away from 38. S&P is up 1%. Nvidia's up 2%. Meta's up about 20 bips. Microsoft, someone said in the chat, really good stat. Tesla was 140 in April. Microsoft was 400. Today, Tesla is 440. Microsoft's 430. So obviously a massive outperformance from Tesla versus Microsoft this year. Then again, Microsoft didn't have as much volatility as Tesla to the downside this year. But Tesla definitely outperforming some of the other Mag 7 names right now. Meta's at 596. SoFi's at 1529. Grindr's up 2.2%, 1723. Google's 188. Square at 89. Intel's green on the day. Tesla now almost 440 right here. Novo Nordisk still down 20%. This one's not getting any dip buyers to really come in. Cruise lines are up 3%. Carnival Cruise and the Qs are up 0.5% right now as well. Market is reacting strongly. That is correct. Market is reacting strongly. Will you still have the 100K dummy portfolio? Yeah, we might do that as well in 2025. I got to get a lot of stuff set up. The problem is, dude, I don't want to take the money off Robinhood and put it on like M1 Finance or something. I want to do it on Robinhood, but Robinhood doesn't let you have multiple accounts. They need to let you have multiple accounts, bro. They need to let you have a long-term account, a trading account. If they could do that, that would be so cool. Because then we could just easily switch between those accounts. But I definitely do want to have something like that next year, because that would be super fun. Here's a 1 minute clip of Vlad from Yahoo Finance yesterday. There's a full 18-minute interview, but here's a 1 minute clip that Vlad tweeted about this comeback of the year award that they got yesterday.
10 years from now, like, what is your vision for Robinhood?
I think the vision really is for anyone, anywhere in the world, whether you're an individual retail investor or an institution, Robinhood should be the best place for you to custody all of your financial assets and process all of your financial transactions. And so it's expanding across the two dimensions I mentioned earlier, going global, where, you know, we've got lots of winds blowing. The rest of the world is getting wealthier. It's going to the technological frontier. Mobile penetration continues to go up. Internet is becoming ubiquitous. There's multiple trends that are moving towards more self-directed, more focus on US products and US markets, and AI and cryptocurrency sort of booming at the same time. And Robinhood can really be at the center of these things and I think those are going to be the growth drivers in the financial industry over the next 10 years.
$34 in the pre-markets, now at 38. Not bad for Robinhood. And obviously Vlad thinks there's a massive opportunity to capitalize on. Just Ball says, Amit, you did a great job staying calm amidst uncertainty. It's like the opposite of watching Meet Kevin tell us the world is over, but to still buy his course. Yeah, dude, if the world was over, you can't be pitching the course, bro. If the world's over, there's no way people have to have $500 ready to buy the course, right? Like if the world is ending, like how can you dish out $500 for Trumponomics? You can't do that. You know, to be honest, dude, I think it comes with a lot of just like common sense more so than anything, bro. Like it's not that hard to stay calm if you're reading the data every single day and you're not being an idiot. And I'm not saying like there's not times to actively be bearish and like look at things that are bad. But if you're doing it because you want to capitalize on people's fear, which is my fear is that that's the actual incentive that people have not to actually look at it. Because, dude, Meet Kevin's a smart guy. We know he's looking at a ton of data. Like this guy looks at way more data than me. So there's no way you could look at all this data and be like, the world is ending because Jay Powell said 2 cuts instead of 3. There's just no way you can come to that conclusion. So my opinion is then you have an ulterior motive at that point to then be upset or be bearish. And that's where it can get really scary for a lot of people, because it's like, well, what do we believe at that point? Where is the fear index? That's a good question. We were at extreme fear last night. We have to be up right now. We're definitely not an extreme, in my opinion. We are at, we are still in extreme fear, folks. We are still in extreme fear. Again, we talked about this yesterday in the market close. The easiest way to analyze what's going on in the markets is buy at extreme fear, sell at extreme greed. Like one of the simplest ways to invest. And if we are still in extreme fear, you're going to get money coming in. You are going to get money coming in. And that's what we're getting right now. You think reading data is common sense? You overestimate your average person. Look, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think reading data should help inform a well-rounded opinion. But a lot of times people look at XYZ stat and they're like, oh my God, well, this is the problem with all that. This is what Dan Ives was talking about with this spreadsheet analyst, right? This historical indicator, 10-year, 2-year, unverted, blah, 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 boom, market crash. And it's like, you can't use those historical precedents and the inversion of yields to deny that humanoid robotics are a real thing. Robinhood at 38. And if that's your basis on analyzing one of the greatest revolutions we've seen since the internet around tech, followed by actual earnings growth on all of these names, then it's like, then your view of the data is misguided. It's not that it's bad to look at the 10-year, 2-year inversion, but it's like bad to create one blanket assumption of what happens as a result of looking at it. And I think that's the problem. VIX is down 18%. That is amazing. We got volatility going down. Yeah, look at that. Look at the VIX falling off a cliff. Very reminiscent of August 5th. Very reminiscent, dude. This thing was at 27. Now it's at 19. So it's up 40% in the past 5 days, but it's down 20% today after being up 74% on Friday. Or sorry, on Wednesday. Not bad. Not bad at all. TJ says, I love that you don't talk down to us. You talk with us like we're in the room with you, just hanging out. Thank you, Amit. Well, first of all, I can never talk down to you guys because you guys talk down to me. So there, talk about being humbled, bro. There is no way in hell I'm ever talking down to you guys, because then I'll say some shit like, do you guys eat gum? And then I have to deal with the brunt of the being talked down to. But no, that's a good point, dude. That's a good point. Because there are some times where I'm watching some of the other guys and it feels like they're lecturing to you, right? And it feels like they know what's happening. You don't know what's happening. You're watching their stream because they know what's happening. Therefore, they're explaining it. To me, I'm like, dude, none of us know what the fuck is happening. But I think I have some understanding based on this stuff that I'm looking at. And here's what I think could be happening. And I'm very receptive to everyone who has opinions on what they think is happening, even if we could disagree or we agree. But I never want it to feel like a lecture, because I'm not a teacher. That's not the goal. The goal of this is try to figure this out with a community that wants to figure it out and have fun in the process of trying to figure it out. Robin at 3802. We're above 38. We're above 38. Not bad at all. Doug says on August 5th, I had no cash to deploy. This time I was practicing better account management. So I had $100K to buy the effing dip. See, I love that. I love that because that's just in general learning from risk management techniques that most of us didn't deploy on August 5th, because I think a lot of us were kind of all in as well. I had some cash, but not a lot of cash. Yeah, having cash towards the, and I know a lot of you guys were doing that as well. A lot of you guys were saying you were selling or at least raising some cash early December, end of November after the Trump rally for a moment like this. And we got the moment. We got the moment. Now, I don't think we're out of the blue woods yet. I don't think we're out of the blue woods. We still have 4 hours left, and the hedge funds, market makers might pull some games. But it's looking like we're out of the blue woods and going into the green woods. It does look like we are entering into the green woods right here, as markets continue to go a bit higher. Myra bought Hood at 35 today. I love it. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. No one knows what the stock market will do, up or down or in circles. Yeah, I mean, no one is smart enough to understand that as all. The green woodworks. I think we came up with a new thing today, dude. Blue woods. That's a new thing. That's gonna be that's gonna be our hay in the needle stack now. All YouTubers should own Google. Everyone in the chat should be long Google. I actually agree with this. I actually really agree. I think there's no way in hell I can justify using this platform every day. I don't even want to check my screen time on YouTube, dude. Let's check it right now. Like buying Google for YouTube alone to me is starting to become one of the most obvious things. Let's check my screen time on YouTube, bro. How bad is it? YouTube daily, 3 hours and 14 minutes every day. Now, granted, it's also playing in the background, right? So that's the thing. X is an hour and 21 minutes. Robinhood's collectively 11 minutes throughout the day. Every week I spend 20 hours on YouTube, 4 hours on Robinhood, 21 hours on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, look, Google. I mean, there's no way we can buy Google. I mean, no way we can be no way I can be using YouTube and building a media brand on this platform and not be buying Google. I think that's a very fair point. If YouTube was a separate company, though, oh my God, I would buy that stock so quickly. I would buy it so quickly. Exactly. Invest what you use. It's the best strategy. Yeah, I agree. That is a fair point. There was no grinder in the screen time. There was zero grinder because I don't use the app. Guys, I'm right on my grinder thesis, dude. Like it's up 3%, bro. I don't get cocky, but on grinder, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. All right. Let the jokes commence. I don't get arrogant, not cocky, arrogant on my in general, but grinder, I'm going to be a little arrogant on. Screw it. I'm going to get cocky on grinder. I don't care. I'm going to get cocky on grinder. I don't care. I will get cocky on grinder. I think I'm going to be right on this, bro. I'm going to be right on this one. This one's going to be fun. Not because the money. Forget the money. I just want to see this go up because, it's a hard thesis to understand. But if you understand it, you might be able to make some money on this one. Now, granted, I don't think anyone should buy grinder, okay? I really, this is not something I'm like this is not like a grab to me. This was like, I think this could work, and that's why I bought it at 14. I thought it was overvalued at 14. I think it's overvalued at 17.31. But Goldman Sachs says it's going to 20, and that's why I think it's not, I think it's holding these levels. The real thing about it, to be all serious about Grindr, dude, they're accelerating growth, and there's no other gay dating apps other people use. Like it's not a complicated thesis. That's it. And so when Goldman Sachs came out and basically said what I've been saying for the past year, it's pretty easy to come to this conclusion. They would have to mess up earnings for them to tank, which that could happen. But their guidance was really good on the investor day. They raised EBITDA margins, raised free cash flow more. It's a decent story, even though it's a bit expensive. So I think it could do well. But very small position in it with 1,500 shares, and we'll see what happens with that one. Tesla right here, 439. Palantir 75.85. Palantir holding it up like a champ. Palantir still holding it up like a champ. What made you consider Grindr as an investment in the first place? I said this story before, but I saw the CEO on CNBC, so it was a very simple introduction to the company. I just saw it on CNBC, but I really liked it because I felt like it was contrarian enough to be cool. Because who's touching a gay dating app as a public company? No one, right? So to me, I was like, all right, so no one's talking about it. And then I saw their numbers. I just spent a little bit of time looking at their numbers, and I was like, these are not stupid numbers. These are really good numbers. These are not SPAC 2022 numbers. These are really good numbers. This is something, and I think it's a turnaround story. And then I just went down the rabbit hole. And then every time I mentioned it to people, they hated it. And I was like, okay, so this is actually, this means there has to be some alpha here because if everyone loved it, there wouldn't be. So see, compare Grindr to Grab, right? Grab, there's not really that much of a bear case. And that's why I'm buying it up 70%, right? Because everyone kind of agrees, yeah, we think the Grab thesis is intact. If I got it at 350 this year, that's when there were actually bear arguments, particularly around profitability and EBITDA margins. And that's when you had to kind of see beyond that stuff to buy it, meaning there was a solid bear case. You had to see beyond it, and now you're up 70%. That's when it's time to get into these names, when there's actually a counterparty that disagrees. That's what makes a market. Same thing with Palantir at $7, right? A lot of people said black box, stupid consulting company, can't do anything. You really have to see beyond that. And if you did, Palantir's done well. Arrows, thank you for the $2 super chat. Was this the sell-off that will take us to new all-time highs? That's what it's looking like. I'm not going to lie. That's what it's looking like, but we could be wrong. We still have 5 hours left of today. We got a couple days left of the year. It does feel like, based on how the market's acting right here, there's a lot of strength right here. Palantir at 75, Tesla at 440. There's a lot of strength right here. Even SoundHound today. SoundHound, it's up 2% after being up this whole week. Like either we get rug pulled at 2 p.m. or we close out the day pretty strong. It's one or the other. I don't think we go flat. I think we either close out higher or we get rug pulled. And if we close out higher, then that means this was a decent dip week. 6.5 trillion options set to expire at 4 p.m. Correct. So we still have a few hours to see if those options get a little bit more aggressive. PCE was good. Yeah, Rango's right. PCE was very good. That's another reason that helped the markets today. That's another reason that really helped the markets today. RF Andy says, I just woke up. Thank God. Yeah, dude, you missed all the fun. You missed all the fun, RF. You missed all the fun. Which days will the market be closed during the holidays? 25th and 1st. Yeah, it'll be closed on Christmas. I think Christmas Eve we have a half day, and then January 1st. So, is the market open on December 31st? I don't think so. Is the stock market open on? I don't think so. Christmas Eve, are we open? No, we're open. Yeah, it's open. So we're closed on January 1st, close early on Christmas Eve, and close on Christmas Day. Outside of that, we are still in motion for the rest of the year. Markets are still going to be open on New Year's Eve. Is anyone doing anything for Christmas or New Year's? Put in the chat. Is anyone going anywhere? Are you going on vacation? Spending time with family? I'm going to bed, bro. I'm going to sleep. I want to sleep. I know I'm such a boring person, but I want to watch Squid Game and sleep and end out this year. And the reason I really want to sleep is because we've been doing so much traveling since November, really since October, since I went to India. Like I sometimes forget, 2 months ago, I was literally in a separate country. I just feel like every week I've been doing something. Last week was in DC at the Army Navy game. The week before that was the Robin Hood event, the Palantir event in New York. And it's been a long 3 months of traveling. September was AIP Con. And I'm ready to just have a little bit of rest, bro. Like we have a Christmas tree downstairs. I haven't even been able to sit near the tree and watch a Christmas movie. And I want to do that. I want to sit. Now, granted, I'm probably not going to be able to get through the first 2 minutes of the movie, but I want the vibes of having the tree on, having some hot cocoa, seeing the Christmas music play or listening to the Christmas music, turning on the Santa Claus or the Mickey Mouse Christmas special. That's one of my favorites. By the way, if you guys have any good Christmas movies, put it in the chat. I would love to turn it on and then turn it off after 5 minutes, but at least I'll get the first 5 minutes of it. But I want to actually relax a little bit on Christmas, dude. I want to actually relax on Christmas. I'm taking 2 days off of work, says Tess. Myra says family day, all day eating tamales. I love it. That's amazing. Yeah, do you guys do any specific things in your culture or family stuff? My family doesn't do it. I mean, we have Christmas breakfast and that's it. That's pretty much it. Pouncy right here, 7621. My mom's birthday is also on Saturday. So her birthday is 3 days before Christmas as well. So we got my mom's birthday. Tesla right here at 441. But outside of that, we don't do anything too crazy. Going to Colombia for vacation. That'll be fun. Sanjay says, I'm going to take a break at home. That's good. I think everyone deserves a break, bro. Everyone deserves a little bit of a break. Watching Die Hard. Okay, we got some movies we're watching. Do the stream from your living room so we can all be with you. Dude, the problem is I'd be talking the whole time. I'd be talking. I wouldn't even be relaxing, dude. If I'm on camera, bro, I'm going to feel like I have to talk and then I'm going to get ideas to talk about and there's going to be talking. I need a day where I just don't talk, bro. I just shut the hell up. I need a day where I'm my mind's not moving. I'm not talking. I'm just doing nothing. I don't think I've had one of those days where I literally do nothing. And again, as a content creator, you're constantly thinking of content, creating content. Twitter is you're constantly 24/7 responding to people. So it's one of those days. I just need one of those days. I don't need a lot of them. I need one of those days. That's it. Give me one of those days. And that's it. And then we'll get back to the grind. Bring the turtlenecks back. We definitely got to bring the turtlenecks back. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I heard this was a good one. I think I've seen clips of it, but I've never really sat down and watched it. Bitcoin right here, 97,000. Palantir still holding 76, bro. Tesla 441, Hood at 38, Q's at 5. Wow, look at the NASDAQ. It's up 1.1. MicroStrategy's up 8%. And the S&P's at 590, baby. Unless the market makers rug pull, this is a really green recovery. This is a really, really green recovery. KGW, thank you for becoming a channel member. Really appreciate it. KGW, thank you for becoming a channel member on the show. Amit rant about wanting to talk less. Oh my gosh. I'm going on a 1.5 month vacation in Australia. We'll be there for Christmas. Dude, I want to go to Australia so badly. I love Australia. I love the Australian accents. I got to go there. I got to get to the Aussies. Tom Lee's right again. I mean, he was right. He said back up the truck yesterday. People were clowning him for that, dude. People were making fun of him. People were like, oh, the truck's not even turning on. It's like, dude, you can be as bearish as you want. But yesterday, there was not a structural reason that this market tanked by 2%. There just wasn't. There's nothing like, there's no pandemic. There's no geopolitical wars. Like, the government shutdown stuff is annoying, but eventually that gets resolved. Like, it was Fed talk. It was J-Pow inflation stuff. It was the 10-year being stubborn. You can't deny Meta's earnings just because the 10-year. Like, you just can't. I should put that on a t-shirt. You can't deny Meta's earnings because of the 10-year. No one would understand what the hell. Imagine walking around with a shirt. You can't deny Meta's earnings because of the 10-year. Everyone would be like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this guy's shirt saying, bro? What is this? Like, there's no way that would make sense. You guys would get it, though. You guys would get it. Stacy's, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, or Stasis, thank you for the 50 euros. Not pounds, not dollars, not Mexican pesos, the euros. Why? Because I'm learning my currencies. Thank you for that, for the 50 euros. Really appreciate it. Stacy, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Appreciate you. This name is definitely European. Also because you gave 50 euros, so it's definitely European. But where are you from, Stacy's? I don't know where to guess where you're from, but definitely from some part in Europe. I feel like it's gonna be a horrible. I feel like I want to say Germany, but I don't think your last name is German. So that's I'm literally guessing right here. But I don't know if it's like a smaller Poland. Yeah, is it Poland? It has to be Poland. That's what I was thinking of, Poland. I want to say Lithuania, but I don't know if it's Lithuanian. Oh, I should have said, dude, it was on the tip of my tongue, dude. I swear I was gonna say it, but I was like, I don't know. I was gonna say Lithuania. I promise I was gonna say Lithuania. Like, I'm dead. I'm not even just saying that. I was legit gonna say it, but then I was like, I don't know. All right, Lithuania. There we go. Lithuania in the chat. I love it. Amit only wants super chats in Farcoin. Where is Farcoin? Is Farcoin pumping? Let's see. Yeah, we're up 10% on Farcoin. It's a bull market, folks. It's a bull market. Kris said, call me. All right, let's get Kris into the show and let's get his thoughts on what's going on in the markets. Let's see. Kris, do you want me to send you a StreamYard, bro? Can I send you a StreamYard? Because the mic is kind of weird here. Let me send you a StreamYard and you can join through your phone as well. But the mic is a little weird for my phone, so let me send it to you on WhatsApp. All right, I just sent it. You can join from there. Amit, when will you adapt and invest in Farcoin? Oh, I did buy a coin yesterday. I bought a coin yesterday. I am the proud owner of 150,000 bonks. 150,000 bonks. I have 150,000 bonk coins. So, dude, it's $4.25. I basically threw $5 into it. I was like, you know what? Screw it. There's 92 trillion of them. So I got a nice 150,000 of them. So honestly, I just wanted to buy it to feel like to get the experience of buying like the new coin on Robinhood. They just listed it yesterday. But if bonk goes to $1, I'm gonna have 150 grand off of a $5 investment. So we can always dream, potential, hope. That's what everything's based on, hope and potential. So maybe. Maybe we will see. SoFi's up 2.5%. I have no idea what bonk does, by the way. I was just bored and I bought it, but I guess there is a large supply of it, and it's still a $2 billion market cap. So there are people out there that believe in it. Palantir 76, Bitcoin 97, Hood 3790, SoFi. We are up 2.5 on SoFi right now. 1545. Look at that recovery from 14. And then Tesla right here at 439. Oh, and Grab 493. Grab was at 470 in the pre-markets as well. S&P 590. Qs 520 currently right now. That's how Doge started. Yeah, but does Doge have these many? Like, how much does Doge have in circulation? Doge doesn't have 92 trillion. It's got to be less. Doge has 147 billion. It's a little bit less than 92 trillion. By the way, Doge is down 12% over the past 5 days, or sorry, over the past day, it's down 11%. So Dogecoin actually took it on the chin yesterday with Solana. Solana fell to like 180 or something. So a lot of coins got hit with Bitcoin yesterday, but they're still up a decent amount for the year. All right, folks, Friday, we are ending out the week. Let's bring on one of our favorite analysts on the Market Open, Mr. Christopher Patel.
Dude, if I look a little bummy, it's just because I got off of work and I was listening to the carnival call. So you're gonna have to just deal with that. Look at my salt and pepper beard, man. That's what the market does to you. Gives you that age. You know, ages you about 5 years sooner.
You were up all night, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because you were working, right? You know what's so funny? We were on the phone a couple of days ago, and we were both just reflecting that 2024 is done. You know, market's coming to an end. We went through all the pain of dealing with it, and then we have all this shit the last 3 days to deal with. What is your reaction to all the shit we've been dealing with to try to get to an end of year that's positive?
I mean, this is like one of the things about the market that you gotta love, and you also have to you tend to hate, because the market gyrates on news sometimes that absolutely makes no sense. So here's an example. The reason why the market crapped its pants was because it's like Jerome Powell said, "Hey guys, everything is too good." Like, that's the kind of stuff you want. Like, he didn't say, "Oh, look, GDP is falling through the roof, businesses are failing, like credit conditions are terrible." He just said, "Look, everything is great," to the point where I don't even think we're going to need to lower rates that much. Like, that's what you want to hear, right?
It was all good news, which is why we have the lower rate cut expectations. But the market was like, it's too good. Essentially, is your point.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are certain businesses that are definitely negatively impacted by that, because the cost of capital is something to worry about. Because of, when it comes to like a business model, if your business model gives you like a 10% return, like a profit, before interest payments, then that means that with higher interest payments, now you're gonna have to deal with that headwind, right? So a lot of businesses have that, especially in the small cap space. They have very low margins, so a lot of their profitability comes from their ability to use lower cost capital. And because we've had this business environment where we've had lower interest rates for a very long time. I mean, you go back to like 2008, like post Great Financial Crisis, we had ZIRP for quite a long time. So a lot of the business models have been built on the expectations that interest rates would stay around that same level for quite some time. So, a lot of it and it ends up just being the businesses have to adjust. They have to figure out ways to expand their profitability. Some of it's by, of course, raising prices on, consumers. Some of it is doing cost cutting measures where it's necessary to improve their margins. But the point is, a lot of businesses that are good businesses know how to navigate around this thing. And
let me ask this question first, and then we'll get into small caps, because I definitely want to get your take on how they're reacting. What is your perception of how the market interpreted what Jay Powell did? So I know you're saying the market was irrationally maybe selling things off because Jay Powell said things were too good. But nonetheless, he did say inflation might be higher and that 10 years being stubborn. And that created a lot of volatility. So the underlying question I'm trying to get at is, do you think there's a structural problem in the economy right now? And if there's not, then why did the market sell off the way it did this week?
No, I don't think there's a structural problem. I think the valuations are already kind of high, so a lot of people are scared. They're like, they're looking at the S&P 500 and they're looking at the PE rate. Like there's even the Case-Shiller PE, it's like 30 something, and people are like freaking out, like, holy shit, like the market is overvalued. What are we going to do? Like we don't, so any sort of negative information or negative thing is going to push people to say, I need to get out, I need to sell, right? People remember 2008, 2000s very well. They've been burned by that. So the last thing you want to do is be the last guy in the room while everyone is already out. So a lot of times what happens is even a false flag can result in people just fleeing right away. The thing to remember, though, unlike those situations in the past, and we can say that the market is a little bit overextended. You do have outliers within the indexes that are propelling that PE very, very high. And so the valuation is very high. So as an example, if you look at something like Tesla's got almost 100 something PE, and it's a mega cap company. And if you look at the mega caps percentage, like, you know what I'm talking about from the Yardeni thing? Yeah. If you're looking at the percentage at which, let me just bring it up real quick, because I think once you visualize it, it makes a lot more sense. Stock market valuations, and let me just.
And by the way, guys, we are really rallying right here. We got Carnival up 4%. We'll talk to Kris about that. Hood's up 3%. Qs are up 1.3. MSTR is almost up 9%. S&P just hit intraday high 591. Nvidia's up 2.4. So we are definitely getting a bit of a rally right here.
Okay. So one of the things that you're looking at here, you're looking at the market cap share of the S&P 500. In 2012, 2013, literally the Mag 8 companies, they made a barely like 7, 8, 10%.
That was the time to invest in the Mag 7, right?
Right. Now look at it. They're close to being worth almost 33% of the market cap of the entire S&P 500. So these companies right here, Google, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, and Tesla, they are literally 1/3 of the constituency of the S&P 500 in terms of market weighting, right? So if you buy the index, you buy the market, you buy the S&P 500, you're basically buying 33% of that portfolio is going to be this. So what happens is the numbers end up getting skewed towards those specific companies, right? So if you look at the valuations, and this is a great chart right here, you look at the valuations on those, you're seeing that the valuations have gone up significantly, but at the same time, the rest of the market is still kind of like catching up. So the PE in the X mega cap area, so not the mega cap companies, is roughly around 19, which is not great, but it's not like super bad either. Like so a lot of people will say, "Oh my God, look at this number! It's 30 PE. That's really bad." But that's not the entire market. That's the Mag 7, and then even among the Mag 7, Mag 8, whatever, you've got huge outliers. So if you got right here like Tesla right now is 134 PE. It's almost a 1 point something trillion dollar company, right? Right. So the euphoria around it is dragging it much, much higher. And then you have all these other ones that are trading at, somewhat higher PEs. But at the same time, these companies are the most profitable companies on the planet. So you're looking at like right here, these stocks on on forward price to sales, they look really high. But then you also look at their margins, right? Let me just see if I can find their profit margins. Because I think that was one of the charts. Their profit margins have accelerated. Oh, right. So the PEs are up. Damn,
maybe Command F margin. You might find it.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Oh, right here. Look at the profit margins on the Mag 8 companies. Look at that monster profit.
That's
right. So on top of that, they're growing. So you've got this scenario where you've got the best companies in the United States carrying the index. Their profit margins are just absolutely bananas right now. And they're using this profit margin to buy back shares. Tremendous amount of share buybacks, right? Reinvesting back into the business. reinvesting in AI, which is a brand new industry that these guys have pretty much a monopoly on. Like, tell me another 3 companies outside of Azure, Google Cloud, and AWS that command this kind of growth when it comes to cloud computing. I mean, yeah, Oracle and IBM are there, but they're really small outliers compared to these guys.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those.
So hold on. So with all this analysis, do you think at that point the sell-off? Well, then what explained the sell-off then? All this stuff you're saying is that people should be in the Mag 7. Why did the market sell them off then?
They didn't. I mean, a couple of percentage points is not really a sell-off, man. I mean, that's just markets gyrating a little bit. I mean, dude, if you want to see a sell-off, like the sell-off was here when literally the Mag 8 went from what is that thing called? When the Mag 8 went from where's the damn chart on these guys? Literally, all of them got almost cut in half. So, and Meta got cut in 70%.
That was 2022, the bottom. 2020, yeah.
In 2022.
I think we forget about that, bro. Everyone who's like, everything's going to crash. It did crash less than 2 years ago. Like, it happened already.
Yeah, like right here, the Mag, if you look at their market cap share, it literally went from being like 26, 27% down to like 20%. I mean, that's a huge drop off in market weighting because of the huge drop offs in the companies themselves. I mean, so let me see if there was somewhere. Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that you just have to kind of like look around and say, you know what, maybe the market isn't as overvalued as we're thinking. And maybe like unless there is a bear case on any of these companies falling apart, I don't think
which there really isn't. I mean, maybe you could say Nvidia is cyclical, but even, that's going to be at least 5 years, so, and maybe even 10 years. So what is the bear case on any of these names? Like the real bear case? There's not.
Like who's going to compete against Meta, Instagram, and all their stuff? Like no one. Like tell me one company that's even remotely close to competing against them. Nvidia pretty much owns the GPU market right now, right? I mean, maybe in the future, the cyclicality, like you said, is going to impact them. Microsoft is just, it's everywhere. It's the entire planet pays the Microsoft tax, and that Microsoft tax comes back to us, right? Amazon, who's got the scale that Amazon has? Who can invest? I mean, do you know how many decades it would take to catch up to Amazon at this point? Right.
Okay. So in terms of the sell-off, you thought valuations got a little bit potentially overextended, even if these are good fundamental names. Your thoughts on government shutdown, and do you think that's avoided today? By the way, guys, Palantir over 77. So we do have Palantir above 77 and Hood above 38. Go ahead.
I think it's really hard to say. There's the leaders that are currently in charge. They're not the traditional politicians that you would normally expect. Like Elon and Trump are definitely X factors. They're not politicians. They're both rich guys who became rich by just slugging it out in the private sector. And the government sector is a lot more nuanced in how you're going to deal with things and negotiate and backpedaling and back channeling and all this other stuff. So I don't know. Usually what ends up happening is as the deadline gets closer and closer, you've got the holdouts on both sides, and you've got the lobbyists who basically represent both Democrats and Republicans, talking to each other, getting in the same room. That's not the case for these guys. So I don't know. It's one of those things that you're just going to have to accept that as a risk. And that's going to be one of those things that you'll deal with for the next, 2 years if the midterms go a certain way, or 4 years if they don't go a certain way. So I don't know.
Do you also think quad witching is an issue in markets, or how are you interpreting that?
I mean, I don't think that's short term. So I'm not, like I said, I look a year minimum to 2 years out. So yeah, there are times where I will look at opportunities that fluctuate here and there, but I'm not one.
But see, that's why I asked, because if you're saying the government shutdown, quad witching, all this stuff is very, very short term, and obviously if we're in the markets, we're in this for the long term. The sell off over the past couple of days, especially the panic sell off of people getting rid of their Hood at 34 or their Carnival Cruise at 21, that was based on nothing other than pure emotions. Because I think that's what you're saying. There's just nothing structural to justify.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing, man. Just keep your eye on the prize. Find great companies, solid businesses, and just invest in them and just hold. and when there are opportunities when the market doesn't recognize value, you buy into them, and then you profit. So.
Okay, so let's do a quick 5 minutes on the cruise lines, and then we'll move on to some other segments I want to talk to you about. So CCL, what are your thoughts on these earnings?
Oh, dude, they killed it, man. They knocked it out the park. They got more bookings than ever. Their ROIC is getting better and better. I mean, the only challenge that they're really dealing with is their high debt level is definitely going to impact their profitability, but that only means that it takes a little bit longer for them to generate more capital profits that they can use to buy back shares and do dividends. I mean, fundamentally, Carnival Cruise Lines was a great business before the pandemic, so they had a AAA, they had an investment grade credit rating. They didn't have a lot of debt on the balance sheet. They were buying back shares. They had dividends at the same time. So, eventually they will get back to that point again, but it's going to take a while. Royal Caribbean didn't have to deal with nearly as much of the fallout from COVID, primarily because they didn't take on a lot of debt. They didn't issue a lot of shares, so they recovered much faster than Norwegian and Royal Caribbean. But the thing is, each of those businesses are still solid businesses that are catching up. And I think a lot of times people think that they're competing against each other, and to some degree they are, but they're also they have these niches that each one fits into. And so the category of consumer ends up being differentiated just enough to the point where they don't step on each other's toes. They actually work together as an industry, and the industry is doing really, really well. So
do you think it shows that we're not in a recession if people can afford to go on cruises as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think people have jobs. I mean, people have jobs. People are doing well, and especially a lot of retirees, they go on cruises, man. Like, if you ever been on a cruise, bro, it's a lot of old people. All right. If you're old on here, I'm sorry, but old people love cruises. They got money to burn. And these guys, these cruise lines, especially some of the really, really high end ones, they cater to these old folk like there is no tomorrow, dude. And they make a crap ton of money on that whole thing. So
how much do you need to go on a cruise for you and your wife, or a family of four? What's the difference? How much do you need?
So here's the thing. This is where the cruise line industry is really, really cool, in that if you want to go as a young person, you don't have a lot of money, you're probably going to go on a Carnival Cruise Line. You're going to go to AIDA or Costa or something like that. That's a lot more like at the cheaper level of the income spectrum. If you want to go higher, you want to go more mainstream, then you got Royal Caribbean, right? If you want like a more luxurious thing, then you've got Norwegian and Regent Seven Seas, which is like the ultra level stuff. So each brand has their own level of like luxury that's built in. So that question that you just asked, like, which one do you want to do? Believe it or not, it depends on the context. Like, so if me and you are going, bro, we're going on something like a party boat. That's like a 3-4 day party boat going to the Bahamas.
How much would I have to save for that type of trip? How much would I have?
Like $300-$400. I don't know. Like, if you want to do an interior room, it's like $300-$400. If you want to do like a balcony, probably be a little like
no, but all inclusive. I feel like I would need like $2,000 to have a good time, right?
No, bro. Cruises are cheap, man. It just depends on your level of wanting to spend money.
I want to throw a lot of dollars at the strip club on the cruise. So
there is no strip club on the cruise. They do have a
Why
casino.
are we going? What type of party cruise is this? What are we doing here?
No. There's like I said, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of things for age groups. And there's also like other companies that are going to benefit significantly from their investments in the cruising industry. Like an example is Disney. Disney's so bullish on cruises, they actually started a new capital program with adding, I think, like 4 new ships. And Disney's cruise ship margins are like, if you've been on bro, that's an expensive cruise trip. If you look at the prices on a Disney cruise, your children's great, dude. It's ridiculous the amount of money people spend on those. But the experience is also really up there too. So
well, no, you're doing well. I think you own a sizable amount of options in the cruise lines, so I think your portfolio should be
no, it's doing really well. I think there's still a lot of opportunity within the cruise lines. If there are any pullbacks, which I haven't seen any that would justify me even going harder on it, Yeah, I've just
would you buy Carnival here at 26? Is this a good buy, or would you wait for a dip?
I've always been of the mind that the options have been very mispriced, and so I traditionally just hung out in the options market.
But outside of the options, if someone wanted to buy the stock, do you think selling puts at like 23 is better?
I think there's better opportunities in, like, if your goal is capital appreciation, right? First of all, Carnival doesn't give out any dividends. Okay. So number one, you're not going to get a dividend. Number two, capital appreciation wise, they are limited for a couple of reasons. One, the outstanding shares that they had to basically shell out during COVID really puts a giant headwind on their total upward move compared to what they were pre-pandemic. And then on top of it, they still have a monumental debt load that they're still working on unloading. So there's not a lot of value for stockholders going forward, but that's not the same as the options market. The options market was very, very mispriced.
Right.
So I picked up a lot of those options contracts and people on the Patreon for like $2. I think some people even have cost bases in the $1.80. Those things have actually gone up 3x and sometimes even 4x if you were able to kind of leg in a little bit and play some magic with the things. Yeah, like Ray is up 215% on his Carnival options. So sometimes what happens is it's not as simple as, is the stock good? Sometimes it's like, wait a second, maybe the options are actually better value.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be asymmetric. But I like what you're saying right here for those thinking of it, because they had a good earnings, but at 26, you're saying the risk reward is not as good as 4, because you got in at 14, so the risk reward is definitely different right now.
Now here's an example. Like, you look at Verizon, right? Like Verizon, the stock itself was not a great investment. It was trading at $30, but the thing is, it's a very low beta stock. It was very undervalued, which meant that the options were trading really, really cheap. And so when it did have a nice little recovery, Verizon's been trading at $40, and a lot of people give me grief about, like, oh, look, Verizon's not really going up, Kris. What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, you do realize, like, the options that I got, especially the kinds of options I have, the spreads that I have, they've already given me like a 3x on my position.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people have to not only invest based on just looking at the stock, but then also like, okay, what are the options pricing look like? Like I'm not going to disclose your position right now in Robinhood, but bro, you're like killing it in Robinhood. And you have a very large position in options because you saw that the goddamn thing was mispriced, right?
Yeah.
So
but okay. So here's a good question. In 2025, this is the same theme we've been talking about. Do you think there's going to be those mispriced opportunities that could create asymmetric returns, even in the stock themselves? I mean, do you think there's anything that could be priced like that?
Google right now, it's
okay. Let's get into it. Give me the Google pitch. Why is Google your top pick of 2025? Tell me.
Google is like the most undervalued of the mega caps. They're improving their business like there is no tomorrow. Like, I mean, people on the Patreon are gonna have to forgive me. I'll just, I'll get you guys another one. But let me show you some metrics. And the Patreon I just put out today has some really conclusive data that, like, once you see it, it's going to be hard.
Also, bro, this is not some unknown stock. It's Google.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone in the world has seen the stats on Google.
Yeah.
But you're definitive. This is your top pick, 2025. You are rolling with Google and Sundar.
Oh yeah. Like, all right. So let me bring this up real quick.
By the way, guys, all right, while you're doing that, let me go through some of these stocks. We got Palantir above 77, doing its thing. Tesla at 441, Palantir 77.35, not bad. Bitcoin 97.2. You got a Hood above 38. The Qs 521, MSTR up 8%. Unless we get, again, a little bit of a rug pull, it does look like it's a nice recovery from the bottom. It looks like money has stepped in to buy some of this dip. Google as well, 192.57 currently right now as well.
Okay. So let me just put this up. Okay,
right, Kris,
so let's
while you're talking, I'm going to quickly liquidate my bladder. I'll be right back in a minute.
Okay. So the first thing that people really need to take a look at is, a couple of years ago, a lot of people came out and said, look, the era of the search engine is dead. Everyone is basically just going to be searching using ChatGPT and, these LLMs, and that's it. Like, you're never going to go to Google again. And clearly that was the wrong thing. So after GPT came out, which is in 23. Look at this. Their market share, their search engine market share is still really, really healthy. Right now, they command almost 90% of the search market. Okay. So search market still doing really, really well. Maybe in the future, it'll get quote unquote disrupted, but it's not happening yet. All right. And it's not even close to happening. On top of that, Google has actually been improving its market share with Google Chrome. So a lot of people have been utilizing Google Chrome because Google Chrome is just that great. And that leads to Google Chrome being the gateway to more adoption of Google services. So right now you have a beautiful integration. Like I'm on Chrome right now. I have logged into my Google account, so I'm logged in. All my account information is already there. I have extensions on Chrome that are just, I can't live without, that are just amazing, that I, just can plug and play, go into. I don't have to go with third-party applications. Even when it comes to my work, right now I have certain applications. They work much better on Google Chrome than they do on IE, right? So Chrome's market share is just massive. And all the Chrome browsers have, what's that thing called? Google defaulted. So a lot of search is going to go that way. So Google Chrome, look at that. Their market share, almost 70%. This is probably one of the reasons why the federal government wanted to kind of split them up a little bit, split their browser.
So is the DOJ
away.
still going to go after them? Do you think it's an issue?
It's definitely something that's going to be there, but I'm betting that Trump and co are probably going to work out a deal where this is going to get punted longer and longer and longer. And literally this is going to be like a 10-year kind of ordeal. And in the meantime, Google's just going to keep doing what they're doing. It's like Microsoft. Microsoft was a true monopoly. Google, I don't necessarily think is in the same boat. There are competitors out there. They're just not very good. That's
Kris,
why
we have the CCL CEO on CNBC. You want to watch him for a couple minutes before we go back?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
It's also nice that Sundar and co are putting some money towards the Trump inauguration fund. Got to kiss the ring.
They're all putting some money in that one.
Yep.
Revenues all-time high, now forecasting 20% earnings growth in 2025. And as you know, stocks up 42% for the year. Joining us this morning, Carnival Corporation CEO Josh Weinstein is with us. Josh, great to have you back.
Thanks, Carl. Nice to be here. Thank you.
We talk every time about demand and pricing, but it does feel like maybe the news story this particular print is unit cost growth. Can you talk about what happened there?
I think we should talk about the demand first. The fact is, we do keep talking about it because it keeps accelerating. And as great a year as we had in 20.
Your boy's confident, bro. Your boy's pretty confident.
He's probably one of the best CEOs. If you listen to his conference call on Carnival, it's out of this world. The guy is a straight shooter, knows what he's doing. He was a former treasurer, so he knows how to manage the money of this company to get them out of this debt hole. And Josh Weinstein and the current CFO, amazing dudes to listen to. They've got a plan, they execute, they put the right people in the right positions. Love that. Whenever you have leadership like this guy, it makes it really easy to invest. But go ahead, keep playing.
2024, where our yields were up 11%, costs up 3.5%. It was broad, right? So we're talking about significant growth, mid-single digit to mid-teens across all our major brands, all of our major trades. So we're talking about a global phenomenon, which is about leaning into experience and travel and cruising with us. And I don't think that shouldn't be overlooked. And when we look at 2025, as great a year as 2024 was, we're actually better booked at higher prices today than we were a year ago. So I think the outlook is pretty fantastic.
And then on costs?
Yeah, on costs, we have costs up about 3.7% in 2025. There's a couple of very specific things that are driving a bulk of it. We're opening up Celebration Key, which is going to be an amazing destination experience for our guests. Doesn't go live until July, but we've got to start incurring costs to gear up and get running. We've got some more dry dock days as a result of timing of when our vessels need to do their maintenance and some revenue enhancing activity. And so those types of one-off things are not particularly normal. So when you look at the real underlying growth of costs, it's about 2 2.5%, give or take. And in that, we do have inflation, right? We don't know what it will be, but we're projecting a little bit less than 3%. And obviously, we've got a lot of efforts to help mitigate that. So there's a lot going on beneath the surface, but I'd remind you that we really don't have capacity growth in 2025. It's part of what I want to see, which is moderate capacity growth, and that's intentional. So
10-year just went under 4.5.
So it really means that unit cost growth, we're really clawing away and trying to figure out every way we can get efficiency, leverage our scale to make sure our costs stay in line, and they are. We're still the low cost industry leader, and we intend to stay that way.
Josh, you're talking about your projections, your annual forecast, the profit coming in below expectations. You're talking about costs, but also promotions. Do you need a deeper promotion to spur consumer demand, a consumer that might be interested in travel but needs a little break when it comes to the price?
Well, I think there's a difference between promotion and advertising, right? Advertising is to get into the consideration set, to get eyes on us, to get people thinking about cruising, and then ultimately performance marketing and making sure we're closing the deal and getting the bookings. I can assure you, we had promotions going on last year at this time, and we ended up with 11% higher yields. So what we do is natural. It's part of the rhythm of the business as we gear up for our wave season, which is January through pretty much until March, which is really a critical point in time for us in the industry. And it's obviously starting from an incredibly strong base.
When you talk about
really cool guy, right? Like
capacity
that
growth,
explanation.
how do you?
That explanation was amazing, right? This is the kind of like CEO you want that doesn't like pussyfoot around, just says, look, like, oh, what about you? Like, no, we have to do promotions. There's a difference between promotion and advertising, and this is the reason why we're spending this. We have to get people aware that we have destinations, so we spend a little money to get there. And what does that result in? Results in more revenue, results in more profitability.
He's a straight shooter. Like, listening, I'm like, all right. It's like, first of all, it's not boring. You can tell he has confidence, and then he's actually answering with highly nuanced details on these.
Yeah.
All right.
Back
so
to
Google.
Yeah.
We talked about Chrome. We talked about search. What else do we have?
Yeah. One of the most underappreciated things that's in Google right now is Google Cloud. Google Cloud's growth has gone from 52% right now to like 28%, but they're maintaining that 28% growth rate. And I think last quarter, which is now reflected in this thing, it was actually around 30%. So Google GCP is actually growing their market share within the cloud space. Not only that, but their profitability went from negative 62% 4 years ago to now almost 11%. The crazy thing is, with Google's TPUs and all its investments in hardware, this thing is eventually going to get to margins that are very similar to Microsoft and AWS. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be like instantaneous, because I mean, Google got a much later start than the other hyperscalers did, but they're on their way to getting to that 30-something% margin. And if you look at the growth rate on how much money that's actually being generated by Google's cloud services, it's astronomical. So you take this 30% compounding growth rate on their cloud business, and then you layer on profit margin improvement to get to somewhere around 30%, eventually in probably like 28, 29. You've got huge amount of cash flows that are going to be coming into Google's pockets. So even if search dwindles a little bit or slows down a little bit, you're going to have cloud pick up the slack, and you're going to have a ton of growth there.
Are you scared? Are you scared at all that Amazon and Microsoft are going to beat them for AI workloads on the cloud?
No. I think Google right now, they've proven themselves over the last few weeks with all the new products that they're coming up with, that these guys are not taking this laying down. They're working to get back into a position where, people have confidence in the company, right? And also confident in the products that these guys are putting out, especially AI related products. I mean, Google was the original inventor of the Transformer. Right? Transformer technology. Yeah. They have some of the best people working on this stuff. So I'd say Google is the one to watch out for. If you look at the estimates going forward, you can see this huge margin improvement. Right here, like their operating profit margin is 31%. It's going to end up going to 33%. But the difference between something like Apple and Google right now is that Google right now, the revenue growth rate is still at double digits. So 13, 11, and 11. So you're looking at this growth rate that's compounding, whereas Apple's kind of like flatlined a little bit, right? That's one of the really great things. So not only are you getting the benefit of higher revenues, but then also your profit margin is expanding slightly. Cloud itself is actually getting better and better and better. So if you look at the operating margins right now, it's about 11 in 24. It's going to be about 16 in 26 and then 18%. So not only, once again, you're growing your top line, but you're growing your bottom line. And that cash flow is going to eventually get back into the bottom line. So you can see their earnings growth rate is actually accelerating. So now you're almost between 11 and 9. Currently, people are assuming it's going to be like 10 something, but I think it's going to be like 5% higher. So it's probably going to be closer to like $11 per share. And if you look at Google historically, where they've actually traded, they've actually been, let me see if I can find it right here on a trailing basis. Google's PE ratio trailing has been roughly like 25-ish, with forward being around 22-ish, which is what the fair value of Google is right now at 190. Right. So right now it's what Google's supposed to be valued at. So Google is fairly valued, but the thing that people are not valuing is that additional growth that's coming in 25 and 26.
From what? From what?
From their top line revenue growth, from the profitability growth, and from this massive amount of share buybacks. Look at this. Google outstanding share. They're doing about $70 billion in buybacks per year right now.
They're low-key becoming the new Apple with buybacks here.
Right. It's a crazy amount of buybacks. And here's the other thing. They're actually decelerating on their costs. They're maintaining their costs really well. So their operating margins are getting better and better too. So it's not like, the Google of 2021 where they were just relentlessly hiring people. And we saw those TikTok videos of people sitting around in a pool and be like, I'm a product manager at Google. Look at me. Like I'm making $200,000 for God knows whatever the hell they were doing. So they're a lot more efficient and leaner as well. So they're spending money on R&D. That's the one good thing that's there. But then if you look at their growth in sales and marketing and G&A, it's actually been going down, which is great because that means that all that additional cash flow goes back to shareholders in the form of, one, they're actually paying dividends now, but two, in the form of share buybacks. So I think the earnings estimates right now for 26 are about 10.57. I think it's going to be a little bit higher than that. I think it's probably going to be like 11.
How does this thesis get messed up? What do you think is the bear case?
I think the bear case is overall the market's valuation takes a dip because of some sort of like sort of event that causes turmoil that people like, they reevaluate the entire market. So they say, you know what, it's almost like, how do I describe it? It's almost like everything has to go bad, So a lot of times what happens is you'll have a great company who have really good metrics, who are operating at the peak, but then at the same time, the entire market sells off. And when the entire market sells off, because we're in this index environment, you get sold off as well. So that's a challenge, right? And also the economy could slow down significantly, and that could eventually pressure things. But I don't see that happening on the horizon. I think Google's a great.
But do you think there's a Google issue, like a DEI thing, an AI thing, a woke?
No. I think a lot of those things have been worked out. Someone in the chat said it like literally, I think maybe like a few pages ago. This is not the same company that it was a year ago. I think a lot of the stuff that held Google back is kind of being sorted out right now, because Google really was in a point where there was an existential threat to Google's business and their dominance within the tech space. So whenever you cornering people is like a great way to, change things around and get people to kind of change it up a little bit. When you get too comfortable, businesses kind of like overhire. They don't invest in R&D as much. They do all these pet projects that don't necessarily end up resulting in a tangible value. But I think Google getting kicked around a little bit in both the public's eye and also the markets kind of like made them wake up and realize like, wait a second, no, like we're not going to be caught behind on this. And I didn't even talk about, sorry.
Are you at all concerned that they got beat by ChatGPT to market when it comes to AI? Like,
I think so. I think ChatGPT came out, they released ChatGPT, and they were first to market, even though Google technically was the leader in this. And then you also had that flub with the whole when they said oh, show me the founding fathers, and they were all multicolored, multiracial people, so there's definitely some layers that had to be kind of removed a little bit, and things had to be a little bit more, how do I say, scrutinized. And I think Google's doing it. Whenever a business is in existential threat mode, they tend to get more efficient, especially Google with the large institutional base that it has. I think cooler heads and calmer minds got together and said, you know what, we need to stop all this shit. We need to get back into building mode.
But would you buy Google or Amazon at these levels for 2025?
I would buy both. I wouldn't even try to just do one.
Both
companies, both are doing it. I mean, for me, I'd say number one is Google, number two is Amazon. Mainly because there's some of the other things that Google is doing, they're like X factors that could theoretically work out to be something huge. Like this whole thing with Waymo.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tossed Waymo out, and they looked at those old. You remember those stupid cars that Google came up with? Remember the ones that looked like the freaking happy face? I was retarded. So now they actually came up with much better cars, and hopefully they switch out of these Jaguar X-Paces that are super expensive to do this autonomous thing, and they eventually go to something like a Toyota RAV4 or even a Chevy Suburban or something, for bigger things. But if essentially, I think Waymo could possibly be $100 billion company that's sitting inside Google's balance sheet right now, So this is something to keep in mind. So Google has a lot of other bets that could be multi-baggers for them in the future. So this is not, when you buy Google, you're not just buying Google, the search engine. You're buying a cloud business. You're buying a quantum computing business. You're buying, an autonomous vehicle business. Now with the whole introduction with the robots thing, they're probably going to layer that on. You got a chip designer because they have their own chips and hardware now. They work with Broadcom, of course, but a lot of those stuff is proprietary to Google. So their TPUs. And that's the other thing too, one more last thing to mention, that margin improvement in cloud, one of the biggest drivers of margin improvement is going to come from Google's extensive research that they did with TPUs working with Broadcom. So the thing is the ecosystem which they operate, they don't necessarily need as many NVIDIA GPUs. Okay, right. to basically do the generative AI work. They can rely on their own hardware, which is, I'm sure it's much cheaper from a cost perspective than paying the NVIDIA tax. So
right.
Yeah.
Kris, I got to show you something. I just got a text from Myra right here. I think you're going to enjoy this. Can I share it on my screen? Oh, my computer's being weird, so let me share this right here. So we've got a little one who's
oh, that's cute.
Who's watching us right there.
Nice.
That is so cute. I think she's or he. I think they're a year old, less than a year old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're teaching them about Googs, man. They're learning.
I mean, there's a lot of great companies in the markets right now. I would say just be careful not to get into the most frothiest parts of the market. This is definitely next year is going to be a stock pickers market where if you pick the right companies, you'll do well. Sticking to the indexes may not work out nearly as much, because there might be some sort of revaluation in certain companies, and that may end up dragging down your performance.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. All right.
That's cute.
That's real cute.
He's saying Google. We're buying Google. Okay, so another question for you then. If Google is the top pick, Google right here is at 192 currently right now, 192.95. Any updated thoughts on Disney? And by the way, guys, why don't you? We'll end on this. We're getting kind of late in the stream. It's almost 12 o'clock. We'll do 10 more minutes. Put tickers in the chat. And we'll get Chris's raw thoughts on any tickers. We'll do 10 or 15 tickers, and then we'll be out for today. Disney, bullish or bearish?
it's all going to depend on who they get as a CEO, because there's still a leadership question at Disney, but their profitability is starting to get back to like some level of normalcy after their acquisition of Fox and all this other stuff. They have some big name movies that have recently come out, like Moana. Is it out already? I don't know if it's out already. Moana. They've got their Bluey franchise. Like, bro, like all the presents that me and my wife got for all the kids in our general circle, bro, Bluey is like everywhere. Everyone loves Bluey. All right.
Kris,
So
can I say something?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize when I asked you about Disney. I have a take. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a take. Now I want to tweet this. I'm afraid to tweet this because I think everyone's legitimately going to kill me if I tweet this. But I think with the market open audience, they're a bit more forgiving. You're probably going to kill me too when I say this, but it has to do with Disney. Okay, here's the take. I'm dropping the take. I'm doing it, and that's okay. And I hope you guys can at least kind of understand this take. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And based on your reaction, I'll see if I tweet it. I'm probably still going to tweet it. I don't care because I came to this conclusion last night.
Okay.
High School Musical is a top 10 movie of all time.
I've never seen High School
High
Musical.
School Musical is a top 10 movie of all time. I was going to say top 5, but then I was like, you know what? I don't want to really piss people off. High School Musical, speaking of Disney, if you haven't seen it, go see it. I'm telling you, it is the quintessential film around romance and growing up as a kid. It's a top 10 movie of all time. It's there.
Bro, how do you not watch something like Fight Club, but you know about High School?
I think High School Musical. I would watch High School Musical over a Fight Club any day of the week. And I know people are going to get upset about it. I get it. This is why I didn't want to.
We're not going to get upset. We're just going to judge you in a negative way, man.
Everyone, I need over Christmas break for you to watch that movie again. Go back to what you were like in 2006 when it came out. Chris, you never watched it. You need to watch it. This is a top 10 movie of all time. All right, we're going to move on. Because these comments are killing me right now. Let's do Nubank. What do you think about Nubank?
Great business, great leader, but dealing with the fallout of their impacts in Brazil. So I'm not sure what to make of it right now. You got to Nubank's success is going to rely on Brazil getting its shit together. I think the leadership can work its way around the whole thing. And, I think Nubank will be fine long term. In the short term, I don't know what to say. And the same thing with Mercado Libre. They just have a lot of exposure to Brazil, which could impact them in the short to medium term. So, yeah.
What do you think about SoFi?
SoFi is a great company, man. I would say it's not really for me. I think it's still, in my opinion, just a bank. It's a really good bank, and they've got a great leader. But I see other value opportunities out there. I've never been one to be like, oh yeah, let's invest in the banks unless they were somehow oversold and they made a lot of sense, because I think they're very they take on a lot of risks. You don't know what the shadow issues are within the banking sector sometimes. And when things come to light, it's like the entire market crashes. So, the banking is a great business if you understand everything. And you also have to make sure that they're doing everything correctly in the right way. Otherwise, it could turn out to be something really bad. Like, look at Truist, right? Truist was a great value play when it dropped down to the 28s, and now it's back to the 45s, like we said we would.
Yeah.
So something like that is more in line with my my investing style, where if I see a great bank fall apart, then yeah, I'll get into it. But I routinely don't invest in the finance sector like that. So yeah.
I know you guys hate the take, but if you really think about it, just sleep on it. I think you guys will come to my conclusion, or at least see where I'm coming from. Palantir. So I know you're not investing in the stock. I know you still think it's expensive, but do you think, or are you at least impressed by the market's ability to normalize these levels and this whole government Doge stuff? Do you think that's bullish for Palantir as well?
I love the company. I love the mission. I just can't get behind the valuation. And the thing is, you wouldn't want someone like me to be in this company, because I would be questioning the valuation all the time. I'd be like that annoying prick that just comes on every time on Palantir Week. Hey guys, the valuation too high. Hey guys, the valuation too high. And the thing is, I've been burned by stuff like this in the past. So I have PTSD. So because you have PTSD, the last thing I want to do is buy something, and the entire time my finger is on the freaking sell button,
So well, how do you think about that? Well, then why do you think the multiple is being? I mean, I know you'll say retail is holding, but is there anything more that you think the market's seeing to Palantir? Because I agree, it's an expensive multiple, but it's holding and it's held for like 3 months at this point.
I mean, I have my own personal theories on what's actually going on, but I mean, this is not something that people would want to hear unless like you want to be skeptical. I feel like some of the stuff that they have it's not manipulated, but it is a little bit. For me, when I look at the business, I see what they're doing. You have insiders who have all these stock options. They exercise those at a certain price, usually around, right now with $10. So you've got all these guys executing options. And what that's doing is as they execute that option, they get those shares, they're selling them in the open market. They're taking some of that, redeploying that back into the coffers of the company. So their cash pile is growing. And right now, because we have high interest rates, they're making money on their cash pile. And so it looks like their profitability is really high and their free cash flow is really high. But the truth is a lot of it is because of options exercises, So a lot of what I'm seeing
that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just saying net interest income has a lot of cash to return.
Right. The problem that you run into is that on a per share basis, you're heavily diluting shareholders by doing that.
Right.
And then even if you are profitable and let's say you start a buyback program to kind of like normalize your outstanding share levels, what ends up happening is you're basically buying expensive stock. Like they did a small buyback last quarter, but they bought back shares at a very, very extreme value.
No, they bought back shares at 22.
They didn't buy at 22. They
bought
a
million shares at 22.
I have to look at it again.
But okay, so even if what you're saying is correct, which I get, because yes, they're diluting because selling options, all that stuff, and that's really because the SARs for these employees were expiring at 70, so a lot of them kind of had to. But my question is deeper than that. My question is, on a week where we were supposed to see a crazy pullback, Palantir didn't flinch, and my question is why? And I know retail's holding, I get it, but also it is kind of weird that
it's been that many days, man. I mean, you had that one red candle right there. It went down 5% and came right back up again.
No, but my broader point is it's been like we can all agree, even at 50, it was expensive, like objectively. Now it's at 78. That I don't know what the word is above expensive, but it's really expensive. But it's not going down. Yeah, I guess my point is, are you waiting for it to completely collapse, or do you just think it'll be an expensive name forever? That's kind of my question.
I think eventually it's going to come down significantly. And, when it does, I'll reevaluate my thesis then. I think right now, I feel like every day in the headline, like every day when you turn, maybe it's because of the following that me and you have that's very like similar. But every day that I go on Twitter, I go on to anything, Palantir signs a new contract with blah, blah, blah. It's like signs a contract with blah, blah, blah. And so there's this endless news cycle of contract wins that ends up kind of like keeping everyone's like, like their mood elevated. So I don't know,
That's fair. Okay, let's do some other tickers. Meta, thoughts on Meta 2025?
They're great, man. Meta, Zuckerberg knows what he's doing. He's fine.
Okay. Nvidia, would you like Nvidia in the 130s for 2025?
Yeah, I think Nvidia's still got a really good durable moat. There's no competition on the horizon. Their growth might get slowed down a little bit by some silicon that's coming out from the hyperscalers, but by no means is their CUDA architecture being disrupted. So I think, and not to mention, they generate so much cash flow, they're buying back shares. The value is huge for these guys. So but at a $3 trillion market cap in a cyclical business, I don't know. I'm not. It's a give and take.
All right,
Broadcom. God, I've loved Broadcom for like the longest time, man. I don't know why I just never pulled the trigger on these guys.
Evaluation.
This is
those things for you.
I know. See, this is one of my biggest weaknesses in that I will believe in a company, but if the valuation doesn't make sense to me, I'll stay away. And the valuation can stay elevated longer than.
Did you see? Did you get the Dan Ives interview yesterday?
I did.
He was talking about
It was
people
actually
again, right?
It was actually kind of funny that he mentioned that. He's like, there's guys out there that are Bulls are like partying all night, and the Bears are just like sitting around like, yeah, I think that party is like a little overvalued. And
No,
then-
that is literally you and Palantir, although you've done very well. So you're sitting outside the party with a lot of money, but you're still looking at the party like, well, that's a good party, right?
Yeah, and so it's like the Bears are like watching like for Friday, and I think the funniest analogy was on Saturdays the Bulls are enjoying themselves like watching the game, and the Bears are looking at the Singaporean dollar, like the Sri Lankan dollar. I was like, oh god, that really is what I'm. Sometimes that's exactly what I do. I'll be like, I wonder what this currency is doing on like a Saturday, and I was like, this motherfucker's talking about me. How does he know? You know.
AMD.
I'd be careful with AMD and Intel. ARM architecture stuff is really taking a lot of. It's just x86 is on its way out. Power efficiency from ARM is there. I'd be careful with that one. Like even Microsoft, I think, is releasing some new laptops with ARM chips. So, just be wary. Like Apple already uses ARM, right? They used to use Intel, now they use ARM. So a lot of the industry is moving out of x86. I mean, it's still a big market for x86, but the architecture that I see everywhere is ARM. So, keep that in mind.
Guys, we talked about Grab a ton of times. I'm gonna have to clip up our segment and just post it somewhere so that you don't have to keep repeating yourself. But quick take on Grab, and do you like it at 490?
Great leadership. We've got a ton of money on the balance sheet, growing in their core market. Short term, they're impacted by currency headwinds. Long term, I think these guys are great. They're like a multi-headed hydra with their business. They've got ride hailing, they've got delivery, they've got now a finance sector. They're going to layer on advertising on top of their already, large market share with this, their delivery and their ride hailing thing and their banking products. So when you think about advertising is nice, high margin revenue. So they're utilizing the same playbook that Uber utilized to get to a higher level of profitability. And then Uber shareholders were rewarded up until recently when, people are concerned about the disruption from autonomous taxi networks. So I don't think that's something that Grab has to worry about yet. I think it's going to be like 5 to 10 years away before they have to worry about autonomous taxis because of just how things are situated in Southeast Asia and the demographics and all this other stuff. So yeah, I'd say Grab is a little bit more insulated, but they could eventually face the same kind of headwinds when it comes to their future, where they quote unquote could be disrupted by autonomous taxi networks. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think it makes sense. JetQ.
I mean, if you like income, go ahead. Yeah, that's what JetQ is, right?
Yeah,
it's just the equity.
The covered call.
Yeah, if you don't want to do any of the work yourself, you don't want to sell the covered calls, you just want to get the broad NASDAQ and let them do all the stuff. Sure, that's for you. That's for you. I'm not really an index guy. Like when it comes to these income producing indexes, the only indexes that I typically have are like the broad-based large cap ones, and I have a few mutual funds in my wife and my 401k that track the S&P, but basically they're actively managed, so they have a little bit more weighting towards sectors that you would really like. Like as an example, they're a little bit overweight on Nvidia and they're overweight on Meta, which I really like. I think those are great places to be. So their weighting is determined by the portfolio manager as opposed to just market weighting. So yeah.
Quick thoughts on HIMS?
We discussed this the other day. I don't see them really having that big of a moat. So I know some people on here that love HIMS. Congratulations. I have a few people on my Patreon that love HIMS. I'm happy for you guys. I hope this company keeps doing well. It's just not in my forte. So and to be honest, I haven't done nearly as much research on HIMS because the business just didn't interest me as much. And maybe that's my not downfall, but it's just something that if I don't research, I can't say much about it. So
Dude, I didn't know GoDaddy was up 100% this year, but GoDaddy.
That's nuts. Once again, there's opportunities out there in the market. I mean, what does GoDaddy do other than just do what? Like domain names, right?
Yeah.
But you don't really need a huge footprint. You don't need a lot of things. You just I don't even know how GoDaddy works, to be honest. I just know that you go to GoDaddy if you want like a custom URL name. Like if I want Chris Patel, LLC, I'll just go to GoDaddy. Boom, I get it. I don't even know how that works. So.
Yeah. Okta. Any thoughts on that?
Cybersecurity is going to be a necessary thing for the rest of our lives. Okta is one of the companies that helps with multi-factor authentication. They're fine, This is like when it comes to software and stuff like that, that's like Sam's department. I just outsource all that stuff to him because he understands it way better than I do. So I'm just like, Sam, when it comes to SaaS, you do all the talking. I'll stay in the more brick and mortar, the shit that I actually understand. So
right. Archer, any thoughts on that one?
It's a brand new industry, but it could be disruptive. Like there are certain times.
Wow, it's up 15% today. Wow.
Yeah. There are times where I wonder how nice it would be just to get into like something like this and go short haul. So as an example, like I really like going to the mountains in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is like less than 100 miles from me. But if I take a car, it's going to be like an hour and a half, whatever. I wish I could just get on a plane at DeKalb Peachtree and just be like, there you go. Boom, get dropped off right to where I need to go. So I think this intercity connections, especially in certain parts of the country, I think this thing is going to do really well. I think right now, I think they're only tailoring it to like airports and stuff like that. But I think if they get the battery sizes right, I think they could actually do a little bit more extended. Like imagine right now you're at Newark Airport and you got to go to JFK. How cool would it be to just get on this thing and get dropped off in JFK?
Dude, it would be amazing. Like, it'd be way better than an Uber or.
I mean, dude, just think about all the BS you'd have to go through right now. If you have a connecting flight from Newark to JFK, you'd have to get off the plane, get on the PATH train, go to Wall Street. From Wall Street, I think you have to take the ANC to Jamaica, and then from Jamaica, you take the plane train, then to your turn to the airport, and then you have to go through security again. I mean, it's versus you get off the plane and you go right to your terminal or your whatever at the JFK side. Also, think about all these people that are probably going to the Hamptons. How cool would it be if you lived in New York City and you're a rich guy and you just wanted to go to the Hamptons for the weekend? Boom, you take one flight over. You're there. I know there's helicopters that do that right now. There's a helicopter service that does it. But if you could do it through this, might be better. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Final general thoughts on Bitcoin. Still bullish. Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin is no longer a cult. It's a religion. So there's plenty of people to buy this thing up. I mean, it's got a lot of volatility behind it. So definitely got to be careful with that. I'm a little bit worried that volatility might eventually die down, in which case some of these miners that are trading at a net asset value premium may end up getting repriced lower. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye on.
Saylor says volatility is vitality, right?
Yeah.
I have it. That's the thing to work.
Yeah.
All right, that is fair.
I'll say one last thing before I go. Next year, I think the Fed is getting it wrong with their projection of only 2 cuts. I think they're actually going to do 4 cuts and possibly even 5 cuts. And one of the things that people keep relying on is like the summary of economic projections. But let me show you something, like one really funny thing that I saw. 1 second.
While you're doing that, guys, should I tweet the High School Musical take? Because my finger's on the button and I wanted to. Not now. I'll tweet it tomorrow. But I'm ready for the smoke, dude. I'm ready to defend this. I was thinking about it last night. I'm ready to defend it. I am so ready, dude, to defend it. Dude, it's contrarian enough to actually make sense. It absolutely is a top 10 film of all time. When you really think about it, it has all the components.
Jeez, man.
It is. It is there.
Okay, so you see this right here. This is the federal funds rate, and this is the futures market expectations. Look at this. Look at this bullshit. You know?
So the market's expecting a ton of cuts. The Fed is not.
Well, no, it's just the thing's all over the place. There's no like, oh, this is actually going to happen. Like everyone's like, oh, look, out in 2020, interest rates are going to stay low forever, and then they're going to go higher, and then it's going to go even higher, and then all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh no, it's going to come down, and then you see these spaghetti waves, and then even throughout from 2008 all the way to 16. Everyone was projecting that we're going to be higher federal funds rates going, and it never happened.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so
fair.
all these projections, bro, they're just projections. Like, don't rely on them too much. Look at the actual data that's coming out. I'm seeing labor market is softening. I'm seeing housing prices coming down finally in certain regions. I'm seeing inventory getting back to its pre-pandemic levels, and some markets actually exceeding pre-pandemic levels. So housing is going to roll over eventually. Rents are going to roll over eventually, and when that happens, like you'll see like this drop, just giant drop in CPI. In which case, now the Fed is going to be rushing to kind of like combat against that by cutting again. And it's going to be a much more nuanced thing. But let me just show you real quick on the chart. Hold on 1 second. If you got a minute, after that, I promise we're done. So,
I'm probably going to stay on 15 minutes after you leave.
Okay, great.
So,
okay, so let me just point.
By the way, guys, Palantir is trying to push 79. We got Palantir at 78. Where is this thing? 78.50, 78.52, and Robinhood's at 38.30. They're both trying to push. Kris's Twitter is in the chat, by the way, for anyone who wants to follow him.
You know what, man? I don't have the patience to look this damn thing up. But basically, shelter is such a large component of CPI. If you just stripped out shelter, you'd see that we're actually in a decent place right now when it comes to inflation. And the thing is, shelter is actually moving its way down, right? So people just have to just give it time. Like shelter is one of those things that people don't move right away. People don't like their leases have to expire, right? And new leases have to be signed. All those things, they take a long time. So there's a lagging indicator that's there. The other thing is insurance, like motor vehicle insurance has been one of the biggest drivers of headline CPI. Well, headline CPI and some of the other things, but basically even that is eventually going to start to make its way down. So on a year-over-year basis. So yeah.
And he got the S&P up almost 2% here today. So
yeah. By the way, have you heard anything about the auto sector? About how there's like a ton of inventory that's sitting around that no one's buying? Yeah.
That could explain why these prices are higher. That's fair.
What's higher? Car prices?
Oh, used car. Dude, I got $15,000 for my Honda Civic. From 2019. That makes no sense. I paid $21,000. I should have got like $10,000. Like,
I mean, I don't know what the logic behind that was, but I'll tell you right now.
New cars are too expensive, so people go to used cars. And
dude,
I bought my Honda Civic for $21,000 in 2019. I went to the Honda dealership the other day because my dad's thinking of getting another. It was $34,000, bro. Like, I know there's inflation, but 21 to 34 is a different. Like, even if you negotiate, maybe you get to 31, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I've been like watching some YouTube videos on like some creators where basically like they've been describing the amount of inventory that's just sitting on the lots. And I'm talking about like new cars that are like 2 years old sitting on lots that just haven't been sold. It could be in certain what is that thing called? Certain brands, but from what I can see, it's kind of like an overall thing. So I'd say definitely check that out because that could be something to worry about for 2025. So yeah.
All right, Kris, get some rest, man. Thank you for joining us today. There's Kris's Twitter. See you next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye. I know you guys don't like the take. I know you don't like the take. I get it. I knew it would be controversial last night. When I thought of it last night, I knew it would be controversial. But I do think there's an argument here. Palantir 78.56. Let me check resistance at 79. I do think there is an argument here. And I just think people aren't thinking hard enough when I say it. Like, they just immediately think it's incorrect. It's worth a double take. It's worth sleeping on it for a little bit. 79 has 46,000 shares. 46,000 shares. Guys, look at the market. Grab is up. Hims is up. GoDaddy, Okta, Archer, Palantir, Google, Melly, Enphase, TFC, Verizon, Hood, SoFi, Tesla. What a freaking recovery, bro. It's not at the levels we were at on Monday, but it is a nice upswing from the lows. People got in and they bought this dip. They have bought this dip. It's not bad. I think Palantir, I mean, I don't know if we hit 80 today, but it definitely looks like it wants to try for 79. Even Grinder, bro, is at new 52-week high, 1754. It's a 4%. Like, we've got a real market that's moving. Money is coming in. Algos are buying. Quad witching is going to the upside versus the downside, which still is volatility. It's just volatility in a direction that's kind of fun to see when it's up. And there was a lot of volatility over the past couple of days, which could have been contributed from the quad witching to the downside. But we got 78.45 right here on Palantir. Amid $80 call option thoughts, I would not be buying call options on Palantir. You gotta, I mean, again, and that's not Palantir. Any stock, if you've already had an aggressive move, it's really hard to justify buying more call options. But obviously that's not stopping people from buying it. Today, the $80 call on Palantir. I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's 41,000 open interest on $80. Oh, that's what you're saying, Blake. Yeah, I mean, look, so I wouldn't be buying a call option on Palantir, but there's 41,720 open for $80 expiring today. Those are currently up 42% today. They were down 89% for the week. So if you got in, like, yeah, I mean, if you got in on Monday, it was at 60 cents. Now it's at 20 cents. Where Palantir is going to need to go to like 83, 84 for those to get really green by the end of the day. So even if it gets to 80, it's going to need to get a little bit above that. But look, I'm not in the short-term call options. I'm just in the stock, and the stock right now is up 5%, which is what matters. That is what matters. Yosh says you got to be you. Tweet it. I think you guys are trying to get me to tweet it, and then you guys just want to see all the backlash I get. But I'm ready to take it, bro. I'm ready to take the backlash. I really am. I've started to think more about when I tweet because there are certain people that follow me now, like Sham Sanker follows me. Is he going to see that take and think this guy is a fucking idiot? Probably. And so that's something I have to think about. Like, how do I feel about Sham Sanker? See, Vlad, right? Vlad is probably, given Vlad's top 10 or top favorite movie is Back to the Future, and he sees High School Musical as a top 10 movie of all time. Yeah, I think he's definitely going to think some sort of. So I've got to factor that in, but that makes me want to tweet it even more. You need a strong stomach for the climate, dude. I am going, but like, maybe there's a world in which people agree. But based on the reaction, the 99% of backlash I got today, I guess there's not going to be a positive reaction. And I know that, but I still feel I'm right on this. American Pie is not better than High School Musical. No, it's not. That's not happening. Dude, High School Musical is the everyone's had, or at least everyone has had a resemblance of the experience of guy and the girl in high school. You like the girl, she likes you. You don't know really how to talk to her, and then you have that moment where you start talking to her, and she actually likes you. Then you go on the date. And then you have to tell your friends about it. And then the music itself is amazing. That's on a different level in High School Musical. And then it just culminates into a quintessential American film that is global in terms of its universal appeal. And I just think it's better than Pitch Perfect. Now, High School Musical 2 and 3 kind of sucked. I'm not going to lie. But the first one is not bad. I just realized the mid holdings are a bit off. Pounter, bonk, grab in the hood. Dude, we're in the bonk now. We got to see. I don't know if we're getting to 79, folks. We're getting rejected every time we hit 78.65, but we are holding 78.50, which is good. We still have to get through 2 p.m. Into power hour at 3, so we still have a large part of the day left. But we're moving. Tesla 441 from 400, bro. Tesla's up, or 410. Tesla's up $30 in the past couple hours. Grinder 1759. SoFi, it was almost under 14, 1544. Novo Nordisk, even the dips being bought there, was down 20%. Now it's down 16.7%. And you got Palantir at 78.54. S&P is moving, baby. Look at that, 1.87% on the S&P 500, and the Qs are up almost 2%, 524. It's not bad. Not bad. Eric says your professional reputation is at risk. Don't do it, bro. Carp will disown you. He's talking about bears on coke, and you're dreaming about kids singing. Come on, man. Dude, I like High School Musical. I like High School Musical. I know it's a take that gets people amped up. But I thought of it you know why I thought of it, dude? I think one of their music videos just popped up on YouTube, and I just watched it. And I was like, this is a good movie. I think it's a top 10 movie of all time. And then I was like, I should put that out into the world. And then I was like, but I'm going to test it with the market open people because I know they'll have my back. Obviously, you guys, you do not have my back, but we'll see. If you see it on Twitter this weekend, then you'll know what I decided. You will see. Boeing's up 15% this week. Boeing, nice recovery this week as well. This one got hit at like 130. I think TJ still has some puts on Boeing. Maybe. Boeing, yeah, wow, it's at 180. When did Boeing get to 180? Wasn't this thing at 120? Boeing, let's look at the year to date. No, they got to 137, bottomed at 137. Wow. Talk about that. 137 to 180 on Boeing. Not bad. Some of these names, again, getting some money. That's coming in. Michelle says, I can literally watch it at any time and have the music in my Disney playlist. All right, so Michelle, is it a top 10 movie of all time then? That's the question. Because watching it whenever you want versus it being a top 10 movie all time is a different take. That's the question. That is the question. Now we understand why you like Grindr. Dude, it's a good movie. You guys haven't watched it in years. That's the problem. You guys are remember. Oh, wow. Palantir 78.75. Maybe we're going for 79. Holy, look at that. It's trying to up 6% right there. You guys got to watch it over Christmas break. It is on your Disney playlist. I don't have a Disney playlist, dude. I don't have a Disney. You guys want to see what music I listen to? Oh, I found a song last night, okay? That's one of the best songs ever, okay? Now the song is not a real it's a song, but it's not like a song with lyrics. It's an instrumental song. But I think you guys, I can't play it because YouTube, but I think you guys will like it. It's called God's Creation by Daniel.mp3. God's Creation by Daniel.mp3. It's an acoustic song. I heard it last night as a background on an Instagram reel, and I went to the full version. Incredible song. Absolutely incredible song. You guys are going to have to listen on your own, but God's Creation, Daniel.mp3. That's the song that I discovered last night. It's called a medley. Yes, a medley. Whatever it is. It's instrumental medley. It's an acoustic song, but I liked it. All right, so my playlist. I have Tunnel Vision by Russ. I've got Heist in the Room by Travis Scott with the remix with Lil Baby and Rosalia. I got Young Harlezy by Jack Harlow. I got Go Legend with Big Sean and Travis Scott. I got 4 in the Morning by Nipsey Hussle. I got Confident by Justin Bieber. I don't care what you guys say about that. That's a good freaking song by Justin Bieber. We got Reborn by Kids See Ghosts. What else do we have here? We have Tell Your Friends by The Weeknd. We have Headlines by Drake. Drake's in there. We got Heartless by The Weeknd. We got Who Wants What by Russ. I'm actually a big Russ fan. I like Russ. We got Diet Mountain Dew by Lana Del Rey. Okay, Lana. I'm not a big Lana fan, but there's some songs that I really love from Lana. We got Michael Jackson in here, Dangerous. I think that was on the bus to DC. I randomly was listening to Michael Jackson. We got Diet Pepsi by Addison Rae. This song is so dumb. but her voice is so nice on this. Diet Pepsi, Addison Rae. Denver by Jack Harlow. Ambitious by Jack Harlow. January 28th by J. Cole. Oh, 2014 Forest Hill Drive. Top 10 hip-hop album of all time. I don't think anyone can really argue that one. That one you can't. 2014 Forest Hill Drive's top 10 hip-hop album of all time by J. Cole. I really don't think I should get shit for that one. Like, even if you don't agree, you can understand that one. J. Cole, Drake. We got some Kendrick in there. We got some Jack Harlow. We got some Russ. We got some Lana Del Rey. We got some Big Sean. That's kind of what I'm listening to. That's it. I'm not an Addison Rae stan, but Diet Pepsi was a good song. It's a good song. Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen, dude. Who do you think I am? Am I the type of guy to listen to Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae? That's the type of guy to say High School Musical is a top 10 movie of all time, okay? I'm not that type of guy. I am not that type of guy. Call Me Maybe. Goodness freaking gracious, bro. You got to Call Me Maybe. Although, she has another song called I Really Like You. How do I know that? I don't know. Maybe I got a little Carly in my playlist. But she's not horrible, dude. Carly is not horrible. She's not horrible. It's called I Really, Really Like You. Oh, 50 Cent, bro. 50 Cent, top 10 rapper all time. I don't care what anyone thinks. 50 Cent, top 10 rapper all time. He's up there for me. At least my top 10. Also, here's another one. A lot of you guys might disagree with this, but Joey Badass, Before the Money, top 5 hip-hop album of all time. For me, probably not objectively. Like, objectively, that'll get rejected. But for me, Joey Badass, Before the Money, 2015. A lot of people like the 1999 mixtape. That's okay. But Before the Money, I think that's an incredible album by Joey Badass. Take Care, also top 10 movie of all time, or top 10 album of all time for Drake. I love that one. You know, Certified Lover Boy has grown on me. That one I hated in 2021. And then I like it. It's aged really nicely. There's a couple songs that probably shouldn't be in there, but it's aged nicely. Palantir didn't get to 79, 78, 25, NVIDIA 134, Enphase 71. Where's Hoodie? Hoodie's at 3806, holding 38. And then Tessie, 440, still holding 440. Not bad. Oh, yeah, this is correct. This is correct. If you're reading this too late, it's the best Drake album. That's correct. 100%. That's correct. That is correct. That's the best Drake album of all time. I agree. See, I'm not too bad at music, right? I'm not too bad at music. You can't say I'm horrible at music. I might not be the best at movies, but I listen to more music. So I feel like I'm not the best at music. I'm definitely not diversified in my taste. But I think I can at least speak about music a little bit better. Zocold says he likes the mix. Like, if you give me an aux, I'm not going to play, I don't know. What's a crappy song? I don't know. I wouldn't play a song that like ruins the mood or the vibe of the party. I feel like I would play a good song. I feel like I have enough diversity and taste to figure out a good song. Oh, Tuscan Leather intro. Goodness. That's one of the best intros ever. One of the best ones. Amit told Chris I'm going to be on for another 15 minutes. When did Chris leave, bro? Has it been 45? Dude, this is a 3-hour and 46-minute stream, dude. I've noticed we used to end the streams at 10 a.m. from 8:40. It used to be 9:20 to 10 in the OG days. Then I one day we had CPI. I started early and I was like, I kind of like being early. 8:45 to 10. And now it's like 8:45 to 11:30 almost every day. Almost every single day. Why is SoFi not moving? SoFi's moving. It's not moving like crazy, but SoFi's up 2%. SoFi's up. Yeah, it's up 2.3. That's not horrible. Palantir is getting hit at 78.50, but holding 78, which is not bad. Amit, you are going to nap hard. Guys, I slept late last night. I don't know why I was up. I was probably watching so much High School Musical. I think I slept at like 3:30, bro. I was actually afraid because I've been sleeping at like 11 every day this week. Like last night, for some reason, I don't know what it was, I stayed up late. And so I was kind of afraid. I was like, but then I woke up at like 6. Like, you know, like when I travel and when I do the market open on the road, when I was at the hostel for the Robinhood event and we did the market open that day, I don't sleep during those days. Same thing on the DC Palantir market open with Garcia and John. I slept at like 5:30, and I don't sleep. I can't sleep when I'm in a new location. So I just end up staying up. I actually did a ton of work that night. I was just like, I was sending all the emails for the spreadsheets. I'm going to finish sending those by tonight for the wheeling stuff. But I don't sleep. And then the adrenaline actually wakes me up in the morning. I never am late on the days that I'm traveling because I don't know what it is. And last night that happened. I slept at like 3:30, maybe 4, and I was up by 6. And it's like, I was just up. Like I was ready to go too. I wasn't even kind of sleepy. I wasn't even tired. I was just like, let's go. It's weird. But when I'm traveling, there's no way I can sleep. And then I just end up waking up early. And I'm like to do the show on those days is tough because you're traveling, you're tired and this, but like the adrenaline's there and I just wake up and I'm good to go. But then I'm late when in my own house, which is weird, right? But that energy is high. What's your favorite song from High School Musical? I think Breaking Free. No, not the Breaking Free. The one where they're in the piano. You Are the Music in Me. You Are the Music in Me. That's my favorite High School Musical song. Bet on It from the second one is good as well. But You Are the Music in Me, I like it. Love the wallpaper, Mitt. It's not wallpaper, dude. It's real bricks. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Like, it's real, dude. It just ends right. The fold, it's folded because I'm so strong that I like creased the bricks by accident. Like that's like you gotta use logic here. Like if we're always gonna look at the mainstream consensus opinion, aka bricks are fake, we're never gonna be creative enough to see beyond the horizon. That's the problem here. Amit probably cried watching Glee. I never watched Glee. You know, Glee was on TV, and I didn't watch TV growing up. I mean, there were some shows, but like Glee was not a social media thing. It was like you had to sit on and watch it on Fox, right, from like 8 to 9 p.m. I never actually did that by watching those shows. Music Mondays. All right, no, you're putting too much pressure on me, dude. I don't know enough about music to talk about it on a Music Monday. I know enough to talk about it for like 5 minutes at the end of the stream. I don't know enough to actually have that many opinions on it. But I do think my High School Musical take is not as crazy as people think. Palantir, you know, that's a good conversation starter on a date, right? That's not a horrible, like, hey, you need a little bit of an icebreaker, kind of everyone's watched High School Musical, right? Like, hey, High School Musical. What if she's like a big movie fan, like a big movie head, and she's like, you're fucking insane? Or what if she likes the movie, you know? And if we disagree, all right, I guess we got to go watch the movie together then. I guess we got to go watch the movie together. That's what we got to do. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. 3 hours, 51 minutes. We'll be back for the market close. I think Steve will be on today. He should be good today. And yeah, that's it. We should be good. Palantir at the end of the day, we're holding 78, which is awesome. This market is rebounding. If you bought the dip, congrats. 78.62 on Palantir, S&P 594, SoFi 1546, HIMS 2663, Grab 495, Royal Caribbean 241, Tesla 442. You got Hoodie doing hoodie things at 38.22, not bad at all. Boeing's up 2%. The Qs are up a nice 1.94. Palantir, maybe we touch 79 at the end of the day. Okta's up a little bit. Archer, 17%. Goodness gracious. What a great day for Archer. Nice recovery on that one. Mercado Libre as well. HIMS right here at 2664. You got S&P at 595 and then Palantir 78.62 up 5.95%. Not bad at all for Palantir. When are we getting Jose? Monday. Jose's in Vegas, bro. He was going to be on today, but he went to Vegas. Jose is enjoying his life in Vegas. So, yeah, he'll be back on Monday, and we'll hear from Jose as well. Amit, do you feel that we are being mean towards you sometimes in the comments? No, not at all, dude. My skin is so thick that if you saw it at a club, you would ask for its number. I don't. The only thing I'm worried about in the comments are spam, bro. Like, that's it. That's why we need more mods, and, like, I just don't want there to be spam. Like, especially someone saying the same thing 25,000 times. Like, that's not the way to, like, say it, right? Like, it's just like that. That's what I'm concerned about as the community is growing. I want to keep the chat clean, but say whatever you want. I don't really. That was a good one, right? That was a good one. Skin so thick. The OGs have heard this since 2022. The OGs have heard this since 2022. So, you know, you have to recycle that one. But no, dude, I don't. if you're going to be in the media business and you're going to be talking about everything and you're not ready to take what people have to say against you, even if it's aggressive or mean, A, you don't have to respond to that. B, you don't have to really care about what other people think if you think they're saying it from a perspective that's like irrationally aggressive or mean. Now, if you're making a joke, like the grinder stuff, like that's just, it's a joke. It's like, if you can't laugh at yourself, I mean, very difficult to survive in this industry. You know, I mean, I think of Mark Zuckerberg and Elon, dude. I think of freaking Elon Musk, like the amount of videos made about him by these people that hate him. Like, and he just goes upon his day and just fucking executes because he has a base of people that believe in his vision and he's building shit. And that's it. So you kind of can't be too caught up in some of the comments like that. All right, that's it. This clap, bro. This clap keeps me on for another 10 minutes, bro. But that's it. I'm out. I'll be back on the market close. I'll try to get Steve on, and we'll see kind of how this market closes out on one of the last trading days for December. I mean, what about when you ask for tickers and we keep putting the ticker we want? Is that spam? No, that's not spam. But like when I ask a question and there's tickers, that's not spam. It's someone who's like, Amit, look at, I don't know, RXRX, right? And they're like, and most of you guys probably don't care about RXRX or some random esoteric ticker. And it's like, we got to move on to other subjects, right? Because we're trying to make sure everyone gets value out of it. And we can look at individual things here and there, but they're like, no, look at this, look at this. It's like, at this point, you just want attention on the ticker because you like the ticker, which is fine. I get it. But like, you can't like stop the entire experience for everyone just for one ticker, right? So that's what I mean by spam, you know? Also, people being overly aggressive. Some of you guys were kind of mean to Dan Ives yesterday. I think Peter, I can call him out on this because Peter apologized. Peter was being a little too aggressive about Dan Ives, and then he sent a super chat saying, I'm sorry, I was being aggressive. So yeah, like, dude, when you have a guest on your show, you can, this is the other thing I want to say. You can disagree with someone and still talk to them. So I know Dan Ives said he liked Kamala, now he likes Trump. I get it. Like, that's fine. But I'm not trying to put him in some gotcha moment. I'm not trying to be like, oh, Dan, tell me your political beliefs. I'm not trying to be like, oh, this, you thought one thing, then you think the other thing. Like, dude, look at what he's got right. Look at his reputation. And then let's have a meaningful conversation. And I posted the video on YouTube the other day. The amount of comments of people saying this was the best Dan Ives interview, the best like deep dive into who he is as a person versus CNBC and Bloomberg. And that's because I had an extended amount of time to talk to him. I didn't have this 4-minute segment of where I'm trying to get a hot take, which is why this is more special, right? So you can disagree with him, but like just spamming that, oh, Dan Ives this, Dan, it's like, dude, he's taking the time out of his life to talk to us, right? Like that's, I don't agree with Chamath on everything, but if I ever do a podcast with him, I'm not going to say you're a scam. You scammed everyone. I might say, so during the SPAC era, how did you conceptualize your role as bringing these SPACs to public light? How are you dealing with some of the backlash you had? Right, you got to be respectful about communicating with people that are in much higher positions than you. And whether you agree or disagree with them, if you have some level of respect for them, then you don't have to have a hostile or antagonistic conversation. That's my take on it. Julio says, I don't get how you can talk so much. Dude, I don't get it either. But some of you guys bring up a topic. Sonny says you shouldn't have clapped. It's this freaking clap, bro. This clap makes me not able to leave. That's why. All right, I actually have to go. Thank you, everybody. This is the problem, dude. I can't keep doing this. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back on the market close. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. See you guys later. Think about the take. Just think about it. Because when you really think about high school music, all right, no, I'm kidding. All right, bye, everyone. Have a good one. Love you all. See you guys on the market close. Bye, everyone.